It is now 7 p.m. It is Monday, July 6th, and I am going to call to order the Monday, July 6th Nottingham Select Board meeting. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I hope everybody had a safe and joyful family time over the 4th. With that, let's get right to it. We have a couple of things to go through, so I will look for motions to approve manifests.
Approve the manifests for payroll and accounts payable for 6/22/2026, 7/6/2026. Sorry, I should put that differently. Accounts payable for 6/22/2026 and 7/6/2026, and the payroll for 6/23/2026 and 7/7/2026.
And I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll look to approve minutes.
I'll approve the minutes, make a motion to approve the minutes, the public minutes for 6/15/2026 and 6/22/2026.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Matt Sherrill will abstain.
I'll move to accept the non-public minutes of 6/15/2026 and 6/22/2026.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second for the non-public. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Matt Sherrill will abstain. And thank you for covering for me for those. June was kind of busy. July doesn't look like it's going to be less busy, but. Board of Select reports and assigned boards, committees, departments.
All right, so I'll start with the planning board updates. So a popular case number 2607, more probably known as the chicken coop case. The third-party review has been concluded and submitted to the planning board. The even more popular data center moratorium. If you don't mind, I'm going to read an email from the chair of the planning board. Hello, Elena and Ellen. Last Wednesday, the planning board held its public hearing for the proposed temporary moratorium on data centers ordinance. The board read out the ordinance, took public comment, and then voted on the final wording of the proposed ordinance, which passed unanimously with all 5 members present in favor. The final ordinance has been signed by all the planning board members and is attached. I believe we all have a copy of that. At this point, I believe the select board has to call a special town election and have a legislative body vote on this ordinance, which I believe is also on our agenda tonight as well. Now, Highway Department. Highway Department liaison, updates to the Highway Department. Over the past 2 weeks, the Highway Department has completed work on Priest Road to support the bridge detour and finished the wetland reestablishment project at the library. The department continues to perform truck and equipment repairs in-house whenever possible. Currently, 2 trucks still remain out of service. Truck 114, which is the 10-wheeler, due to injector issues, in truck 111, the F350, pending insurance resolution following the accident. Upcoming priorities include preparing Ledge Farm Road for paving, trenching conduit at the library and parking lots, and continuing the grading for dirt roads throughout the town.
That's plenty.
Excellent. In case anybody missed the giant roadblock, the bridge is out on 152 for the next month through August 8th is the proposed date. You'll see the signage for various ways through town. I noticed on McCrillis Road, the traffic is substantially higher as everybody's trying to cut to Smoke Street to cut to 4. But thank you very much, Adam.
Different. Fire department, I'm the liaison. The only holiday-related incident this weekend, happily, was one lost hiker in the park on July 2nd. Overall, the fire department is reporting above average call volume to start the month, however. I just received from Lieutenant Dolan their June statistics in a very snazzy format that I will share and send out to you. I don't have all the particulars, but it's very digestible and something I hope they'll give me permission to share with all the public. I think it would be very interesting to see what they're doing. Tomorrow is their monthly meeting and cookout, and I'll be attending because there's food. Police Department, I'm filling in for John Decker in his absence. He's the liaison. They held oral interviews today for a new candidate. They had good candidates to fill the one vacancy they're trying to fill, and they're particularly pleased with using their new police app website, which focuses on just police, I guess, emergency personnel. And so they're very pleased to have 5 candidates for the one position. And I believe they found at least one that was satisfactory. Let's see, they've updated their website to include more information about hopefully the move of the police department over to the fire department. Coffee with a Cop is scheduled again for July 23rd from 9 to 10, and it will be held in the police department so you can have a tour of the police department. So I hope people will take advantage of that. That's a Thursday, July 23rd from 9 till 10 in the morning, Coffee with a Cop. National Night Out is still scheduled for August 4th, and they do need the select board's help because we may not have one available select member, and because I still can't use my arm very well, we may be asking other boards to help us out. Because we're the grill masters, I guess. Or maybe we'll just get the police to help us out.
They'll be busy.
At any rate, it's a very fun time for a whole family. Wonderful food and lots of things for the whole family to do on August 4th. The police chief wanted you to know that their new cruiser has arrived. It's a Ford Explorer SUV, and it just needs to be detailed, and it'll be up and running.
Charlotte, what's the time on National Night Out?
That's a good question. I feel like it's
It's in the evening.
yeah, because dinner, we're cooking.
More to come.
I should know. I do know, but it's lost somewhere in the closets of my mind. I want to say like 2 to 6, but I will double check. Sorry, I should know that. Yes,
Do you have the monthly events?
I don't. No, because of the holiday and because they were busy today, so I will get them for you.
Thank you.
As soon as I do, I'll send them on. I think Steve is talking about the police department statistics for the month of June. And finally, the Town Facilities Advisory Committee. We met at the Old Grange Hall. It was Gary Anderson, Eric Danis, myself, Wayne Thompson, Steve and Julie Gray, David Sweetser, Molly Austin, and John Barsh, and Mary Colvard. It was a crowd of us, and we met at the Old Grange Hall, which is directly across the street from the library on Stage Road. In case you don't know it, it's the building that looks like a church, and was a church before it was moved to Nottingham. We met on June 22nd, and we're requesting clarification of where the lot line is and permission to clear small trees and shrubs from the back lot line in order to help dry out that area and reduce the mildew and moss. Molly Austin was in attendance, and she's going to speak more about her efforts to get historical recognition for the Old Grange so that we can start some private fundraising. And also want you to know that there will be a Harvest Supper again this year. The second annual Harvest Supper will be held in the gym here on September 19th, the Saturday. Tickets will be sold well in advance, and all proceeds will go to benefit Save Our Grange. We'll be meeting again on, this Wednesday, the 8th at 5:30 right here, and the public is invited to attend. We'll also be looking at the old fire station, which we again all recommended should be torn down, and the old town hall, which we're very much looking forward to having mini splits put in so it can be used year round. That's it.
National Night Out is from 5 to 8 p.m. on
That's gonna be
Tuesday,
close.
August 4th.
Sorry.
What was the time again?
5 to 8 p.m.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Sean. That was quite a
Good rundown.
laundry list of stuff. So I'm gonna read a blurb from the rec department. They sent it out to the community newsletter. But I'll just kind of read it through. So the Town Hall Community Center is summer ready. Rec staff, volunteers, members of the Friends Group recently revitalized the garden beds in front of the murals, adding fresh color, curb appeal to the entrance. The newly repaved area outside the gym now features freshly painted 4 square courts and the half-court basketball hoop, creating an exciting space for the campers, community members to enjoy all summer long. The area behind the building has been cleaned up and refreshed around the new shade structures and playground, making the entire campus more welcoming and inviting. If you haven't stopped by yet, please come check it out. It looks fantastic. A special thank you goes to Jim Kelly, the true visionary behind the project, along with Julie Kelly, David Swester, Scott Sweetser, sorry, thank you. Scott Bagley and David Lazuski, our resident garden expert, who wonderful plant recommendations help bring everything together. Hard work, dedication, generosity are truly appreciated. Also like to thank Amy Plant for revitalizing the pollinator garden at Marston. We are thrilled to share these beautiful spaces with our community. Hope everyone enjoys them. To add a touch of creativity, we recently installed a new butterfly art piece beside the garden at Marston. If you haven't seen it yet, stop by, snag a photo with the wing, send it to the rec department. We'd love to see your pictures. And thank you again for everybody to help share up the community spaces. And there's still look around for notes. There's still, there'll be postings when they get back out there to work on the disc golf course and stuff like that. Still looking for volunteers. They have certain days that they're getting out there to kind of expand and get that established. So
Does look great out there. We just took a walk.
all along the side.
yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
no, the area
fantastic.
looks really nice, and with the gutters that make sure the water isn't like slamming into the garden beds. So I mean, it's coming together nicely, slowly working together.
I haven't made it to the recycling center. My time has not been.
That's busy summer, but you gotta sell boat things. But I've been over there again. Nothing really, anything major to announce. I mean, I've been busy. You'll see them again. We are pushing and adhering to the postings for bringing in truckloads or trailer loads of stuff for bulky waste or construction debris. They are definitely like pushing the collection of the fees. They've had a little bit of pushback, but the sign's been there. It's just nobody wants to pay attention to the sign. But our costs as a community have gone up significantly, so we just are pushing to enforce what is needed, because really if you look at the line items when you go through the budget, the recycling center is one of our biggest cost departments.
Did we get the credit card machine fixed over there?
We're still waiting on the internet. We've initiated it with Fidium. I think they just have to run the fiber in off the street, so that work order is in. Hopefully, I think the beginning of last week, they said they were about 8 days out. So as soon as the fiber is run in, then we'll have that for service, and hopefully it'll be more sufficient to be able to run the credit card machine.
Okay.
Right now, it's significant bandwidth issues, and regardless of what we've done with Comcast, it's
It's worked
just,
right for years.
No,
That's why, I mean,
that's why we decided to change providers.
You're saying Ethan is not working?
It's working, but it's too intermittent to run the credit card processing.
Okay.
So we made it all the way through there. So town administrator report.
Okay. I would just like to acknowledge, I don't know that we've officially made a formal announcement. John Decker's recent absence from the meetings has been due to health-related reasons, so I just want to extend our best wishes for his continued recovery, and we look forward to welcoming him back as soon as he's able to return. Obviously, he's been involved with a lot of various side subcommittees, so thank you to Adam Ryan. He has offered to step up to the police station building subcommittee, and obviously Charlotte's still very active on the facilities assessment committee, so we still do have board membership on those various subcommittees, so that's very helpful, but his absence is obviously felt. You had already touched on the 152 bridge over North River being officially closed today, approximately 5 weeks. We are receiving a lot of concerns from residents, especially of Priest Road, due to the extended, the additional traffic that they're receiving, as well as the increased rate of speed. Obviously, people are not abiding by the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, so I'll just make sure that I relay those messages to the police department. I'm sure that they will be doing additional patrols on that. We did have some concerns this morning. We had a lot of heavy truck travel over there, tractor trailers, probably not sufficient for that area of travel. So the highway department did put out no through trucking signage today, hopefully to kind of deter that. But I think, again, everybody's trying to navigate their way around this new obstacle. So it's still fresh. Hopefully it will reduce. But the intended purpose is for the detours to be over state routes. So those detour routes are available on the town website. Those are what New Hampshire DOT is posting, and supposedly they're the maps, the GPS and everything should be reflecting the closure and not detouring them around local roads, but it happens. People might know. I mean, it's easy enough to look at a map and see an alternate route, so there isn't really much we can do about that.
I heard that many of those trucks, my neighbors have been watching them, they're actually bringing landfill from Massachusetts to northern New Hampshire.
Okay.
And he's been spotting him on 156 and just noting, these are huge trucks with no markings. And I think that's what you're referring to. That's what I was heard of.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure who is doing the trucking, but there were some larger tractor
There are
trailers.
some big trucks on those roads.
Well, in particular on Priest Road trying to
Yeah.
detour.
That's right, because they're only like.
Just to remind everybody, the town clerk's office will be closed next week, July 13th to the 17th. We've tried to get the word out there, so anybody with registration needs, please plan accordingly. And also related to that office, Tracy Black, our tax collector, has announced her official retirement effective today. Alyssa Rowe, who has been her deputy tax collector, will be assuming the role of tax collector until the next election. The select board members that were present during their work session on June 22nd actually made the motion to appoint her during the effective period, so.
What's your name again?
Alyssa Rowe, R-O-W-E. So we do have a tax collector in place. Taxes were due last Wednesday, as a reminder, for anyone that may not have already taken care of them. And that's pretty much it. I have a lot of correspondence that was sent your way. A lot of it concerning the opening of the town beach, potential opening of the town beach, other people expressing concerns about Priest Road. I don't know if you want to go through that in detail or just carry forward, because we do have some appointments coming up. We can always recap back to it. And I did give you a list of motions for this evening. The only agenda item that I would suggest that we're going to table is just the Q2 budget status report. Obviously, being so close to the month end and having a holiday closure on Friday, plus a payroll and accounts payable processing week, I want to make sure that Bessie's got enough time to get those transactions posted to the month of June appropriately before I give you a budget status report that might not be reflective of actual.
Sure.
So.
Okay, yeah, let's get a word out to Chief Woodman and just see if we can do some aggressive traffic enforcement. Anything, just pulling over every single truck in full ticketing. I think you ticket a couple of trucks and the word's gonna get out pretty quick on the channels that need to be out there, so.
It is tough because a lot of the, when I was talking to Steve Black this afternoon, he was stating that some of the larger trucks that were traveling were actually from Northeast Earth. So they're trying to get from one side of the bridge to the other with materials. So we kind of have to, ignore that portion of it because they're there for a function.
Yeah,
But
the ones that are there to do construction, that makes sense. I mean, but the other ones, the other trucking ones, they're not using GPS. They've done that trash route 100 times. So they get to that, see the bridge closed, they don't care. Same with any other cars. We want to make sure. All right. You want to jump through the motions right now? We have 10 minutes.
I've lost my motion.
So I have two sheets.
Oh, thank you. That's my motion. Do you want to go ahead?
So we have a motion to approve. So the Nottingham Fire and Rescue Department had some small updates for the bylaws. Charlotte, do you want to cover those?
Sure. I'd like to move to approve the updated bylaws of the Nottingham Fire Rescue Department.
I'll second that.
We have, do you want to discuss what was changed at all?
The only change that I'm aware of was just the number of all staff or all department meetings. that they have each year. They wanted to have a little bit more flexibility. They normally have a monthly meeting. They wanted to have a little more flexibility because some months they're very, very busy and have long days of training as well. So they wanted flexibility to not necessarily have to have 12 of those a year. And that's the only one I'm aware of.
That is correct. And I think it was bringing it in line with the Fire Rescue Association bylaws as well. So they're both reflective of the same.
Great.
Exactly.
So we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye. And because we're gonna go right ahead to move to sign the support letter for the New Hampshire State Register of Historic Places for the Pawtuckaway Grange Hall.
Do we want to discuss that quickly so people understand what we're making a motion of?
Maybe hold off on that one until after.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because
Okay.
we have
Molly, talk first.
visitors today, yeah, yeah.
I'll say.
Should
We'll take your friend away.
They've rehearsed.
Sorry, should we just skip over that one?
Yeah, we can skip
Yeah,
over
and
it.
go to, okay. All right, I'm gonna move that per the review conducted by Eric Danis of the Police Station Building Committee, move to accept the proposed AIA contract with Ricci Construction LLC for the new police station.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on?
The draft was presented, it was forwarded to the Police Station Building Committee, as Charlotte said, not Adam, sorry, I was looking at you. Eric Davis completed a review, it's a boilerplate document. At this point forward, as long as there were no recommended changes coming forward from the board, then we just ask them to proceed. They order the AIA contract, and then it's presented for signature. So I would just be looking for somebody to be designated to sign it, because it's probably gonna be a quick turnaround, much sooner than your next meeting, and we obviously don't wanna delay the process any, we're already under a time constraint.
Wonderful, it's moving right along. And also, if anyone doesn't know from the public, Ricci Construction Company is the company that built the fire station, the existing fire station. And they did a great presentation and came in at our price.
And do we want to just mention what AIA is? AIA,
It's like a,
it's just a standard.
it's a very standard, used for larger contracts over a certain amount of dollars. Like she says, boilerplate, I mean, I've used them myself, it's just an accepted contract that contractors use.
AIA,
Yep, and that literally just says AIA document
It's
A113.
the American Institute of Architects contract.
Super exciting.
okay, I'm gonna write that down, because I'll never use that again.
So make nothing else to mention on that? Do we need to
I don't think so, so,
make a motion and then designate who we'd want to sign it?
okay, well, I've moved did we vote?
Yeah, I think she already moved.
Yeah,
I
I moved
seconded.
it, he seconded it.
Moved it, second to
So we're
approve
gonna
it. All in favor of accepting the AIA contract with Ricci Construction LLC for the new police station? Aye.
And now the signing issue portion of
Be
it.
there?
I would assume so, seeing that I'm on the board,
All
I'm
right,
one of the meetings.
I'm gonna make a motion that Adam Ryan be the designee to sign the contract on behalf of the select board.
I'll second that. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And, oh, we probably wanna talk about this more too, right?
Yeah, so according to Alana's email, I had stuck this on here, kind of awaiting, you had already reviewed the list of potential civil forfeitures for people that had not paid their dog licensing. I believe.
This says
Oh, wait a
paving.
minute, no, this is,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm on to paving.
paving.
In the library, and I thought we
Yeah, I think we need to hold off on that one for right now too.
I'm sorry?
That's on your 8 o'clock.
Okay, so we should wait for that.
Also, could you send me the AIA contract review? I mean, I'm sure it's fine, I just wanna.
We had a lot of stuff tonight.
Okay, well, then
And
I
I'm sorry, I
guess,
don't have anything about
You
dog.
don't have anything on that, I just wanted to note on that one, the civil forfeiture. Alana had sent a memo at the last meeting on June 15th, she gave you the list and said that usually within 20 days of sending the list, she has to issue the warrant, but I did not have the warrant to present for you this evening. So that will probably, I think because that is under a time constraint, that will probably have to be signed in between meetings, so it'll just be a separate noticing. Kind of like we do with the intents to cut that happen in between a long period of time, we just put a notice that says the board will be signing this document, kind of in a bulk vote type situation, and then you acknowledge it at your next.
do we have to make a motion to send the warrant? Or she's made the notice.
We need it first before you can actually, I think you need to be able to review the official list before you can.
Okay, so scratching that off of that
You're
list.
down a little bit, hopefully.
And
So these other things we're putting,
the only thing, we have one assessing for one intent to cut that we can do. And then the
Do all the
rest,
abatements.
tons of.
You can do the ones that are listed.
okay,
Go for it. I need to read them each individually, right?
sure do.
I can do that fast, baby. I move to approve an intent to cut wood or timber, a map 11, lot 3-1.
Second. Oh, you got
Okay.
it, right, sorry.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye. I move to accept a request for abatement for map 70, lot 25.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye. I move to deny a request for abatement for map 17, lot 20.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to deny the request for abatement for map 39, lot 2.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to deny the request for abatement for map 69, lot 19.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye. I move to deny the request for abatement for map 37, lot 7-A.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye. I move to deny the request for abatement for map 40, lot 7.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
I move to deny request for abatement for map 71, lot 144-A.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye. I move to deny the request for abatement on map 18, lot 12.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye. I move to deny the request for abatement on map 63, lot 42.
Okay, I'll second. Let- hang on there first.
Oh,
My
that's
fault.
okay.
I'll second.
That's it.
So we have a motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye. I motion to deny the request for abatement on map 41, lot 5.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to, oh,
I'm eyeing.
I'm
raising
sorry.
my hand.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
You'll hear me say, yeah,
I move to deny the request for abatement for map 8, lot 8-11.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye.
I move to accept the request for abatement on map 1, lot 168.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I move to deny the request for abatement on map 63, lots 76, 77, and 80.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the request for abatement, all in favor?
Aye.
And for people watching, they were just, the people requested abatement, they didn't meet the criteria to get the abatement. We've made it through that. We've made it through that, yeah. That was exciting.
Oh, just about 7.
All right, so we have a 7:30 appointment, it's not an official, Ken Sachs for the Sachs Road layout. Yeah, do you know him?
oh yeah,
No sound.
he's not here.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
I've been looking, but he's not here.
All right, can we rotate? They're not official appointment, it's not like an official posting, so we can move around. All right, well, 7:30-ish, we can go to Molly Austin. And this is to discuss the New Hampshire State Register of Historic Places for the Pawtuckaway Grange Hall. As mentioned, across from the library and next to the old town hall. hiding behind a lot of trees.
Yeah, so many people don't even know where it is. John, the president here of the Historical Society, is gonna speak first.
All right,
Everybody's said what I'm gonna say, I don't know.
Sorry, John.
Good evening, folks. My name is John Bartz, and I'm president of the Nottingham Historical Society. We're here to speak to you tonight about one of our buildings, the Grange Hall Museum. The Grange Hall is currently located next to another of the town's historic structures referred to as the Old Town Hall. As some of you know, the Grange Hall was once a Baptist church in another location in town, up the road a ways. Then it was cut into two parts and moved by oxen to its current location. Sometime after that, it became the Grange Hall for a number of years and is currently Nottingham Historical Society Museum and Resource Center. It is truly a historic structure in Nottingham. It's been here a while. The Historical Society wants to continue its support for this structure. The first step that needs to be taken is to apply to have the Grange building accepted and listed in the New Hampshire State Register of Historic Places. We're here to begin that process by asking your permission for us to prepare and submit the necessary form and information for the state to consider our request. At this time, I'd like to introduce Molly, who has willingly accepted our request to help us with accomplishing this task.
Thank you, John. I have gotten involved in this project, very exciting, and thank you for letting me have this opportunity to speak tonight. So as John said, the first concrete step for future preservation planning and grant eligibility is to document the building through the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources. I have been in touch with Megan Rupnick at the NHDHR, who coordinates the state register and survey work, and she has advised that the starting point is the individual inventory form. So tonight I am asking the board only for authorization to prepare and submit the inventory materials for eligibility and review and possible state register listing. This would allow me to coordinate with the town administrator, the Historical Society, and the NHDHR to gather the documentation, organize the photos, and complete the inventory and submit it for review. So a few things I just wanted to mention. This is just a very basic first step, and at this time we're really only asking for the authorization because the town is the owner of the building. So for state register listing, they require historical documentation of this, the narrative of the building, interior pictures, sort of just an inventory about the state of the building itself. It's free to go on, and Ellen suggested that you might be wondering what that would mean for the town, and being on the state registry does not limit the town's ability to do anything to the building. I printed just the little RSA here of the listing, and I'll give that to you just to kind of assure you guys that authorizing this wouldn't in any way impede any normal processes at this point having to do with the building. It seems pretty low stakes, and then it is what kind of opens the door for future funding. Down the road, we would probably be coming back here if we ever were to get a grant, because then that would mean, other things might be in play, such as not being able to do as much with the building. But again, this first step is very low key, it seems. Any questions or?
Let's say down the road, we get to the historical factor of the prop. Is it a building or is it building and property?
I believe it's just the building itself. Yeah.
Just saying that, the septic and leach field that tie between those two spots, not that we'd ever put one in, but if we ever got rid of our old fire station and we put a leach field over there, building land over there would be suitable for a well to, maybe if we had to redo a well, being further enough away. So you'd hate to say that because it's historic, now that we can't.
Yes, make
Pop
those
a
kind
water
of
hole.
upgrades, for sure.
So,
Yeah, well, and that's the kind of thing, from my understanding, simply putting it on the register, if you were to decide to do anything that would mean, I don't even know, would it get taken off? I've heard from people that once it's on the registry, it kind of is kind of good to stay there. And no, from my understanding, I don't think anything like that would.
yes, I just don't know if it's historic, we're registering as a historic building or the site.
Yeah, right, just the building itself, I'm almost positive. I'll double check on that, but, yeah,
Cause what if we ever had to move the building?
right, well, yeah,
Make a
Site's
difference.
older.
yeah. Move the building, how would that work? Well, yeah, exactly, I
Get rid
think
of
the
it.
building would still be a historic place,
Just can move, I mean,
the land
to make it
underneath it.
historic, it had to come from somewhere else in town to get here.
yeah,
The other one
yeah,
over here has been moved several times.
that's true, the Van
Yeah,
Dam
so
School.
that's why I'm just
Yeah,
really asking.
no,
those
it's definitely a good
questions.
question, and I don't 100% know, I'm relatively new to this myself.
Okay, me too, so.
Yeah, we'll find out together. Yeah, no, but I do think that the language is so specific here. Can I read just section 3 of this RSA, chapter 227-C:33, part 3. Listing a property in the state register does not prohibit any actions that may otherwise be taken by the property owner with respect to the listed property. Reading this, I know that, if you were a private homeowner, someone could come to you and say, hey, we want to list your home on the state registry. And then, as a homeowner, you would need to give permission. Because there's just a lot of buildings around that kind of have that New Hampshire state register status,
But it
but
also restricts what you can do in order to keep the historic site.
sure.
So that's something to be, I mean, not that we wanna preserve it, obviously, but
Right,
it's-
yeah, but just to consider all the ramifications of what that means. For sure.
I want to give you special thanks too. You were sent to us from I don't know where, and I'm a little disappointed you didn't bring your ukulele
Oh,
and sing
well.
Home on the
Gotta
Grange
save
to us
something for
tonight,
the next
but I'm thrilled
I
that-
wrote a song.
and or did you bring it? But I also wanted to state, I mean, this is such a potentially complicated project down the line that this is just a first step.
Oh,
and-
yes.
And opening up the possibility of then getting historical, architects in, somebody to really look at the land and all too, because it would be, I mean, you're talking $1 million or so. And I know when I ran for select board, I said, over my dead body would it come from the taxpayers? If this would be all privately or grant. And I do believe that there are a lot of grants out there for historical structures and for agriculture, which is something that's very near and dear to Nottingham. We're trying to keep this a rural area. So I think to reassure people, this is just the first step to opening up a host of opportunities and having professionals come in and look at it. My understanding is too that there isn't a septic system over there. It's just a holding tank.
That's part of the old town hall.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
Not that you'd ever had plumbing or anything to the Grange, but
Oh,
I've,
right.
See.
people would.
No,
But yeah, but
and I
yeah,
think that's
it
exactly
could be
right.
an
This
improvement
is,
for the whole
this is
town.
very much like
Yeah.
before the starting line even of the
Exactly,
first step.
exactly.
It's a pre-step to any sort of future planning. But yes, everything says that this is just a really good first step. It gets you in the pipeline, it gets all the people aware. It tends to move you through these processes a little more quickly once you have that kind of rubber stamp of this is a historic place.
And if nothing else came of it, we'd have a nice little plaque. on
That's
it.
true, and you can always take it right off. Were you to want to do anything crazy with it, demolish it, I mean, that's all
I mean, on this
legit.
pamphlet here, I think you're thinking of the National Register. This New Hampshire one says there's no restrictions or requirements. Owners of property listed are free to maintain, manage, or dispose of their property as they choose without oversight or comment from New Hampshire. And it says too, it's either buildings, districts, sites, or landscapes or structures. So it could be
There you
just
go.
a building.
Yeah.
It could be the site if it had some sort of meaning, such as the old town square. So, things like that. So I believe we can limit it to be the building unless we thought the land was.
I was just a general question, I don't care, I mean,
Yeah, but it's good if other people are
I'm
asking.
trying to
There-
ask
There is definitely a restriction on the national level
Yeah.
on what you can do. I believe the New Hampshire one is more recognition and has gone through some scrutiny to be yes, this is of historical significance, which allows the grant funding to maintain it. So it sounds like a great step.
And I think it gives us access to the Preservation Alliance and all their information.
That's right, that was really good. Yes, I haven't read that handout for a while, but I'm the one that gave that to Ellen, and that was a great point, I thought, is that once you're on the register, you have a 1-year complimentary membership to the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance, which is a really important and helpful organization in the state. I've even had a couple people come forward, like a volunteer, I haven't even told you this yet, John, but a friend of a friend who does historical renovations in Strawberry Bank, and he's interested in coming and taking a look for a couple hours just to help me kind of finalize everything for free. So I've pulled in a couple other volunteers and, no money involved, and we're all just gonna try to volunteer our way through this as best we can for a little while.
Thank you. It's what makes Nottingham a really nice place to live. Thank you very much.
And it's really exciting. You're right that it's hiding behind the trees, and we're gonna just hopefully
little
clean up the
beauty.
understory a little, and get the town involved. We have a coffee hour coming up at the library in October, so the hope is to start to raise awareness, start to raise more funds, and just see where this takes us.
Now we own the whole property, correct?
Yeah.
So what do we need?
One parcel of land, 3 buildings.
So was there somewhere in here
Yeah,
about cutting the trees or cutting out the back of the trees that you were mentioning?
I was saying that, not the front trees, John, don't worry. John has strong feelings about those trees there. We were looking at the back of the building and trying to figure, there is a wall that you would assume, there's a rock wall that you would assume would be the property line, but never assume, right? And there's just so much overhanging on that back area. There's a lot of mold and mildew and potentially rot. The building isn't in that bad shape at this point, spoken as a non-construction person, but we were hoping a group of volunteers could just get rid of some of the brush and small trees behind there, just to open it up.
But I do feel, I don't say cut trees down, or I can't remember exactly what's up front, but as part of this, to drive awareness, would be like, hey, the building hiding, like we should try to open it up or at least thin the brushes down.
Absolutely, I
Thinning,
agree.
yeah. And
Branches
some
or
kind of
whatever.
signage, yeah.
I've looked at it, there's 2 or 3 big maple trees and there's 2 big Norway spruces. There's a beech tree that's dying of beech disease, which is bad and probably needs to go.
Yeah.
There's a small oak tree that could come out that's just interfering. There's a lot of branches from one of the spruces coming down, they could be trimmed off, they don't have any leaves and needles on them. So, and the ground stuff, there's little saplings. If they were cleaned out, you could make a nice planting bed there for
And some
plants
kind
or
of
something.
signage might,
Yeah,
Can we
it
get
could be.
rid of the Norway? I feel like the spruces are the worst. The maples I feel like are,
Well, the big ones are just regular trees. The one spruce, if you cut off the bottom 10 feet of branches, they're all dead and leaning down. You'd have an open view right through to the Grange.
Interestingly,
If you
too,
go look at it, you'll see what I mean. It
Yeah.
doesn't take a lot of clearing up.
there's
of it.
documentation about keeping the trees as well. A select board meeting in the year 2000
Yeah,
decided the trees should be kept. And so at this point, it would be up to you guys to
they
change
told them
that.
at the time
I
they could
think.
clean up the underbrush but not cut the trees down.
okay.
So
now they're
that
taller
was
than
the
the building.
selectmen way back then.
We've definitely agreed on cleaning
There
the
was enough
underbrush.
interest
bigger
that there was
now.
a public hearing held, and it was very
But the trees-
firmly voted that
Contentious.
no tree
I mean, we heard enough when we cut the pine trees down. And I'm not saying we have to cut the tree, but
no, but
Yeah.
cleaning
the
up,
Norway
yeah.
spruces definitely hide
Yeah.
more. So I don't know if our highway department can do it, or should we sub it out? They're pretty busy right now, but we
They
do
are.
have we can at least add it to a fall cleanup thing, maybe.
And I think for the back, honestly, probably volunteers could just do it with loppers and stuff. I don't think there's anything
Some of the
really.
front can be done that way too.
Yeah.
It really isn't that big a deal.
Alright.
The beach is definitely disease and needs to go
Yeah,
anyway.
the more we
because
can
that's-
clear out around it to give it some air.
I think within the proximity of the building too, they would probably want a qualified professional taking care of it. Like roadside is one thing for the highway department, but you're talking.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, there's stuff up by the steps, but.
The highway department definitely
Could be
could
saved or not.
help if they
That could go.
have the manpower and
Yeah.
the time, but yeah, we could get some volunteers to start too.
Well, if we can find anybody out there, or see if we can get, either pull some quotes together. If you know what you would like to keep and can find something, I'm sure that would be great, but I think that would go a long ways in telling people what we're trying to do and
I do
get
too.
it out there, and it would just show our commitment to making it a nice place. Do we need to we have to make a motion to approve this, right? That's on the motion list.
Yes. So I'll make a motion to sign the support letter for the New Hampshire State Register of Historic Places for the Pawtuckaway Grange Hall.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, well, thank you very much
Thanks so
for the
much.
work.
Thank
We
you,
look, forward to
and
hearing
I'm
some
sure we'll be
progress.
back, exactly, we'll be back to let
With
you
your
know.
ukulele.
With my ukulele, home on the Grange. And Ellen, I'll give you just the, some of our papers that we said, and the RSA and such. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly.
7:30 still isn't here, so it sounds like we're gonna move up for paving for the library.
Yes.
Should I come up to add
sh-
some commentary? Okay.
Sure should.
I didn't want to assume you were gonna be here because I didn't
I could let you know,
necessarily invite
sorry. Hi, I'm Lynn Susi, I'm a library trustee board member, and I've watched a couple of the past meetings and I've seen your previous conversations. We've made some progress in the last couple of weeks, and I've been in touch with Ellen. I think since the last maybe you discussed, we've had a little new development in how we're trying to approach this with the highway department. Maybe you already know. If you do, cut me off because I don't want to waste anybody's time. The board and staff members met 2 weeks ago with Steve and then Al from A&E Electric to talk about the project. And I think originally it was conceived that all of this would occur in a 1 week span when the library is closed annually each summer, the week of August 10th. And during our meeting, it became obvious that that just would not be feasible for Steve and the highway department, that they just have too much going on and that them shutting out everything else and just doing the library for 5 days to knock this out just isn't feasible. So it was suggested that Steve and his crew start this week when they can to work on the wetland area with Mark West, to take out fill that went in over the winter plowing, to redelineate the wetland areas and then just start kind of digging around in the lower lot. So know that the plan right now is for them to chip away at the work while the library is open, knowing that we have Mondays off, that we're closed. And then for, I think, the bulk of the work to happen, the week of August 10th. So the main push point to see if this was even feasible is trying to figure out Steve's schedule and then, engaging with a paving company to make sure that they're available. So I believe Ellen has forwarded 3 quotes that I received, and you'll see that I asked, and the majority have broke down the project into 3 parts. The main upper lot, the lower lot, and then a pathway connecting the 2 lots that would be ADA compliant. I don't think you have to be a patron, just a resident to drive by and see that the library is like highly used and super popular in terms of parking and attendance. So the board and I, had a really good experience getting a quote from Manchester Paving, which is the lowest bid. And they also are offering the most amount of material. So they're suggesting or quoting out 2 inches binder and then a top. They also include striping, which the other 2 companies don't. If you look at the Road 1 quote, it's a little misleading or ambiguous. It says 2 inches for each for a total of 4, but that's before compacting. So roughly that would just be 3 inches. And then you've got R&D, who I know we've had a working relationship. They came in with the highest with 3.5 inches after being compacted, no striping. And, it was a little harder to kind of get a hold of them and go through the quote process. Manchester Paving was exceptionally responsive. Owen Friend Gray has reached out to me in the last week. Obviously, he's been involved with the town and has, great experience in road work and this type from his job and education. And I reviewed the quotes with him and, I don't know anything about paving. And he felt really good about the Manchester paving quote and that they were coming in aggressive on purpose to try to, get some business going and that it's healthy competition with other companies that we've worked with. If we were to go with Manchester Paving at 34.6 plus electrical work, I think we'd be at 44, which would leave us around $6,000 to pay the highway department for whatever the material costs, which I don't have a quote on, and I think Steve's just got to get in there and figure it out. And then another unknown cost is the concrete that we need for the electrical work. So we're putting in 4 lamppost. Do you already know this? I don't wanna waste your time. I can't
No,
remember it.
no.
So we're going to have 4 exterior lampposts put up to light the upper lot and then run, obviously we need to run conduit work. And that's gonna run, you know, a little, probably over 9. So I feel like, you know, with Manchester paving, all of that would be about 44,000, and we'd have 6,000 to figure out the concrete slabs. We'd originally discussed getting a concrete company to pour these bases, but Steve Black and Owen Friend Gray both agreed that a prefab, you know, already cast base would save time. You know, this is a lot to kind of coordinate. It'd be one less player that I have to kind of interact with. So we haven't identified those yet, but I don't know how much it'll cost. But I think, you know, that we can get this done, which is super exciting to us, you know, within that 50,000 that the taxpayers have so graciously, you know, put up for us. And time is of the essence. You know, I know all everyone talks about is increasing costs, and the library is not a sleepy, like, rural library. It is booming. You know, we are just increasing in programming, and right now I find the parking lot to be dangerous. I mean, it's ripped up, uneven pavement, it's an eyesore, the lower lot is not even defined, there, you know, it's just kind of a mess. So, I don't know if you have any questions, but that's my.
I've been following this all along, and I'm pleased and amazed that it's
Right.
come in at this.
I'm
I would
very
be
excited.
thrilled if just
Yes.
the main got
Right,
done.
yeah,
But this is gonna do the walkway and the
right.
adjoining parking lot. I think it's a steal.
And I think the
it's great.
safety part, you know, this walkway that exists right now is literally a mess that was plowed with a truck over the winter, which is, I think, a joint safety concern is, you know, we've got staff and people parking, and if during the snow we don't have a designated walkway and we're using a plowed truck, you know, to take care of it, I mean, that's just, you know, a concern. So to have an ADA compliant walkway, and to get this done, and it is a pared down scope. I think originally Jen Phillips, the prior chairwoman, had researched, I think, a U-shaped, like really reconfiguring this. We're staying within the original footprint. And Ellen has graciously, you know, worked with her staff to submit for a permit from the DOT because we are improving and working upon the apron that goes up to the state road. You know, my main concern is just making sure that we're safe in the next 6 weeks of work. I have to ask Steve Black if, I don't know how this works, but does the highway department have the signage and they'll be in charge of putting up, you know, warning signs if the lower lot needs to be shut down and we've got a big programming and people have to cross the road to the other side? You know, some type of signage. I mean, that road is just, people fly on it and the sight line is really reduced. So, you know, I'll talk with him about what can be done to, you know, make this as safe as possible. That's
So the biggest concern, in speaking with Steve Black this morning, or this afternoon rather, on this, obviously the materials is the unknown, what we're going to need to bring in for gravel as the base layer for the existing parking lot, because we're not sure what's under there. Hopefully the material's fine. But the larger concern, not knowing if we have about $6,000 to work with, that's only a couple of loads of gravel. How much we're actually going to need for that lower lot, because that has literally just been dumped in materials. So it's obviously not a sufficient base for us to pave over. So estimating that, right now their primary focus is to make sure that the main lot gets done, but if we can potentially squeak out the lower lot, it looks like we can, but it might be close. And of course, I just caution you that we have $50,000 to work with, so as far as overages, we can't overspend a warrant article, so where those additional funds may come from if we do go over slightly, or what needs to be cut out of consideration.
This may be an indelicate question, but
Lay it on me.
does the library have any other funds?
The
that
library
could be
does have
used?
donations that we could draw from, and we are motivated to see this come to fruition. You know, the board is in a moment of transition. We're trying to attract new members. You know, we don't want this project looming forward. So I do think, you know, if there was a narrow amount that need to be covered, you know, we are motivated to get this done. And the pathway could be way more expensive if it wasn't paved. I mean, people had previously discussed, like, you know, more elaborate stonework designs, you know, for $1,000, you know, to get that done is amazing. So
Yeah,
yes,
I'm amazed.
the answer would be yes to that.
Yeah, it seems like there's big motivation to
Right.
get this done while it's
Yes, I
getting
think
done.
since it's
if
on everyone's
the library
radar and we've
has
already
some
put a good
funds.
bit of time into it, you know, we would like to see it through, so the board is prepared, you know, to.
And Manchester Paving was the one that just resurfaced our basketball court out here and the walkway behind the
And
community
they did
center.
work for me too at my house. I was
They've been
pleased with them, yeah.
great.
yeah.
I mean, like instantaneous replies to me. They pointed out the DOT permit issue. They were asking me about drainage. They gave me, you know, they're just really, I think they want it, you know, and they're showing that.
That's right. It's good to see, like you said, that both lots, because originally we were very concerned that it was
Yeah,
only
I
gonna be the
never
upper
thought,
lot. and-
Right, and it's really uneven, that lower lot. I mean, it's just kind of a mess. And we've got people, you know, we've got about, on average this year per month, about 490 kids who go through our parking lots. And then you've got Mahjong, a great retirement, you know, age group too, traversing, you know, super busy parking lots and grassy uneven path right now.
Quick question for Ellen is, originally we were talking about the upper lot. The lower lot is technically ours, the town's. We haven't done the merger.
We have the lot merger application. It's waiting review from the assessor before it goes to the planning board and gets on their docket for
Okay.
official merger.
We don't feel there to be any, because we're still approving this, which is paving a town property. They're both town properties, just kind of in a weird state of town property-ness. Okay.
Yeah, there's no concern there. I mean, our biggest hurdle to get over is just the DOT permitting for the curb cut, which we're talking to existing parking lots, so
Right.
it should be relatively simple.
Okay. And then the lighting is just gonna be the upper lot now, but we are gonna have it kind of pre-thought of for
Yes.
expansion to the lower lot and walkway
Right,
in
I'm
the
not
future,
an
but.
expert in these things, but they're going to run whatever is needed, like to
They'll have their
exist, to
conduits in
draw
place so
down.
they can just run the wiring down for the future installation of additional lights.
Which
So
is
we
smart.
don't, it'll be probably limited. We're not gonna be able to like put lights on the far side without ripping anything.
No, probably not. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on we haven't seen the lighting layout, we haven't seen the schematic for where the conduits are going to be. I believe they're gonna try to keep it on the exterior perimeter
Yes,
so that it's not disruptive to the existing lot, so they can actually get that portion of done before they,
right,
Okay,
that's
um,
correct.
so it sounds like a good, alright, that'll be the future problem.
Thought ahead.
Does anybody wanna make a motion?
I move to approve the quote received from Manchester Paving for paving of the library parking lot to include the existing lot and lower dirt lot.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks
Definitely
so
seems
much.
like an amazing amount
Yeah.
of work for the
Civilians.
warrant article that would, well, but, you know, we originally thought we were only getting one parking lot. We're doing
Right.
2 parking lots, a
Yeah,
walkway,
pretty
and
good.
lighting. It's gonna be,
Pretty good.
Right, knock on wood, we'll go very easily and smoothly.
Ellen, do I
Nice
follow for
surprise.
you to engage with Manchester Paving?
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for your time, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, do you want me
get all those motions
Never
done.
happened, right?
Oh,
It's a nice surprise.
I read your articles.
Sounds like we're gonna have to
Kenny
move.
know that he was supposed to be here?
yeah, I spoke with him. And he asked me to send him a message to confirm, which I did on Thursday.
I mean, are 2 weeks gonna make that much of a difference? Okay. She gone. If he magically shows up, we can message him. Alright, so we've done assessing, we've done the appointments that arrive, general business. The special town election planning.
There we go.
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
how do we wanna?
How do we want to proceed? So the planning board held their public hearing on July 1st, last Wednesday, on the proposed moratorium. That was the first step in the process of holding a special vote to get this enacted. Once the public hearing has taken place, the town has 120 days to hold a voting session to formally adopt it. So we've obviously been talking behind the scenes amongst the election officials as to what date that could possibly happen. There are a lot of, I'll just say like planned vacations, prior commitments scheduled throughout the months of July and August that make it difficult to get all the key players together. John Decker had actually provided some input today that stated that he would like to see us hold this special voting session as part of the September election process. John, I don't mean to put you on the spot. John is here, our moderator. Alana Kenny had given some dates that were going to be challenging for her. So I guess in the end, what we need is, we need to resolve on a date as to when this can happen. So we already have something scheduled that, what is it, the first Tuesday in September, September 8th?
That's the primary,
Correct.
that is September 8th.
September
So
8th, so whether or not that happens to be the date, or if you want to try to scramble it in sooner. I think that was the hope of the planning board, to get it enacted sooner, but with the challenge of having the people available to run a separate election. It will have to be a full voting session, open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. because in order to change our polling times, we would have to notice the public with at least 60 days notice. So I mean, we're already pushing toward that September date at this point. Unless you just wanted to have a one question ballot for 12 hours of the day.
I don't, and I know it's very inconvenient, but it would just be a shame if someone caught us with our pants down
Yeah,
and we
there's
hadn't
a lot
voted,
of-
and there was a lot of work done, and I feel like the public, it's not convenient, that's for sure, but
The people of the town are calling for it, certainly. I mean, almost all of them.
right, but we've now entered the window, so the planning board, it doesn't matter if we hold it at that 30-day mark, 60 days, 90 days, or 120 days. It's been signed that we want to do a moratorium. Now vote on it. So now anything that comes in from what you've did is still subject to it. So there's no point in rushing this, because it does make zero difference, because
Are we positive that's coming from legal? We're positive about that? I mean, I've heard that too. I've heard the same thing. I just wanna make sure that we bounce it off legal, make sure that's really
that
true.
has happened before too, with other things, I believe, that we pushed through with planning changes that were like, this has now been set, and then we're waiting to see what this is. We can't accept something new in because we have a documented. Now, if he did it and then we had our meeting after to try to change it, that's different, but it's already been set. 120 days is now set by the state. Okay, you've done this, you have 120 days to hold an election.
But doesn't that, the September fall, oh, then we'd be adopting it in September, so it would be, October's the deadline.
We're still well within the 120 days.
I guess if that was from God's lips to my ears, and you're almost the
No,
same.
no. But,
I just wanna double check, make sure that that's 100% true, cause I've heard that too. I'd like to,
so then you'd have to look at holding, I am 100% for everything the planning board has done.
right, I mean, yeah.
But again, we're just talking about, like, can we even get the resources and pushing it? And then, I mean, I know Drew is very passionate about it, and he was like, we can force an election. It's like, it still requires certain things to happen, and the dates of how that forces still puts us at the exact same spot of the other.
Quick question too, that does affect the timeline. Have we gotten legal or Secretary of State confirmation on whether or not we still have to do a public hearing, a deliberative session, and then a voting
We
session, or we
did.
can skip?
We've had
So we got legal clarification. So because we're SB2, there was a question as to whether or not we needed to hold some type of a deliberative session prior to, but this is handled the same way that a zoning amendment would. So once the planning board has their required public hearings, we go right to voting session. So all we have to do is post the warrant with a question on it within 20 days of the posted election or voting session.
Was the answer I was hoping.
Should we speak with Madam Moderator? Some of the impediments to having an earlier,
There were a lot of, like, when it first came up, everyone sort of immediately shared, like, I'm not available, I'm not available.
I mean, it's summer, it's such a hard time.
It's a hard time. I'd say you really need a town clerk, a moderator, and a supervisor with a checklist. So I think the supervisor checklist was probably had the biggest constraints. I did review that RSA as well, that sort of covers you, so if you get a solid legal, I agree the most convenient thing to do for everyone and the way to save the taxpayer money is to just
Would be to wait till
September.
September.
I
Looked like
believe we
everybody's-
are.
It was July and August, that was a
Latest.
huge struggle, like, for
Oh,
everyone.
I know, I
Yeah,
know.
She was getting peppered with it, we almost needed like a Google spreadsheet with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we
Oh,
gonna do
yeah.
this week?
And we had even looked at like Saturday as an alternative, and even that was more challenging,
No, it's, yeah.
so.
Now, had the planning board not moved and done everything that they did as quickly as they did, I think you're right, but now we have already set the goal, it's been set, it's been drawn, and we're now into the RSA, and we are, I believe, covered through the 120-day mark.
Yep, September is actually doing it within 60 days of the required, or the public hearing portion, or just slightly after, what would it be, like 67 days. So
like,
we're
if we
well
wanted
within
to change
that.
this and have it be just the afternoon, we'd have to put this public notice out, but then we'd be trying to hold a special election like a week before we were gonna hold an election.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that doesn't make
Anyway.
There are
sense, yeah,
time
yeah.
constraints, like there has to be a certain amount of time that people can still
Okay.
register
Yep.
and all those
So they
things.
have to, the supervisors have to hold a certain number of checklist sessions prior to that too, so since they're already scheduled for the September hearing, it almost makes sense to.
It's almost lining up with that.
Actually, to just be that way no matter what,
Yes,
okay,
kind of.
all right, because I think we will be hung from a tree.
And somebody asked about like financially, like I believe, we do need a little confirmation this, once we adopt full pads, I think we can still use it, although I think it's only $350 an election to program all the pads if we wanted to use them, but I always have election workers willing to not take money, so we can, I of course would favor those to save there. I don't get paid by election, it's really your supervisor hours, and I don't know if town clerk gets additional hours for elections, but we're also doing what we can to mitigate any extra costs.
Sure.
Does come to pass that it has to be,
Well, this is such a passionate feeling that so many people have, I would hope
I
people
don't think
would
I'll have
step
any
up
issue
and,
getting
yeah, no,
volunteers.
I don't think we should.
So there was a proposal, now that we have 2 voting machines, obviously doing one for the Republican ballots, one for the Democrat ballots, and then using the wooden ballot box for like a hand count, yes, no, for this zoning amendment, would that be the most practical approach?
No, not if.
Don't hold back.
I mean, we're obviously gonna get a huge turnout, so I don't know if there's any way to just have 2, like, should find out if we can print on the same ballot, put our question, I'm guessing the answer is no.
No, cause I think the state provides the ballots,
They do,
so we'd have to do
We have to do our own.
yeah. It's not gonna be hugely practical for us staff to do. Now we're running, that would be us running 3 separate elections at once, not the most practical. But we'll do what we need to do. So yes, that was the thought, if we had a special election, we could also maybe use the paper checklist and just not print ballots, do a
really simplified method.
throw it in a ballot box, we hand count at the end of the night, it's easy to do a yes, no sort, it's not the end of the world. But yeah,
And
you're
they did make it the meeting that is a majority vote, so it's an easy count.
Yeah.
the count is easy, but don't forget, there are also reports and everything that we all have to do, that we have to do separate already for Democrat and Republican, so we'll be adding a whole 3rd layer, so we can chat a little further about it.
But the biggest thing is the select board is charged with the responsibility of setting the polling date, time, location, so I think in order to move forward, it's a lot easier to set those parameters now and get the word out there.
We have we lose the option of the school in September as well, so that might be one more reason I'd push to just pay the $350 to do the poll pass, because I think you're gonna get a huge turnout, so
I would think so.
I think so.
Matt, you say emphatically 120 protects us. Where did you get that from?
So I don't know the
It's part of
number.
the RSA, 674:35 off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure. It is.
Been close.
That's all.
I would have said 5.
So is that part of the 12 months?
Now you're getting complicated.
Is it part of the 12 months?
Well, the moratorium, the max you can have a moratorium in place is 12 months. But if we have the.
No, because I don't think it goes into official effect until it's adopted by the legislative body.
So technically the moratorium would be for more than 12, like 12 and a half, 13 months.
So like any case, if somebody brought something in that was subject to the new rules, would just be put on pause until the moratorium. And then the moratorium would start on the official date, which would be September, which is later, which would give us an additional couple months on the back end.
Planning board, you also have like rules about how much advance notice a case has to be given to be
Right.
heard, and he hasn't done that yet, I assume, so.
No, yeah.
Right, so he's already also pushed past it.
Yeah.
So. That was confirmed and that was gold, I'd say, for the election team, it would be best to just do it all.
Don't you, I'm just nervous about.
Yeah.
Somebody write it in blood.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can, do we need to get any, is there any, did you see the RSA, we can get any other word or thought right now, just so that we can, before we spend 5 minutes on it?
I would say 674, it's 674:23. Authorizes a local legislative body upon recommendation of the planning board to adopt or amend an ordinance that temporarily limits or halts the issuance of building permits or the approval of subdivision or site plans for a definite term, typically not exceeding 1 year.
So we'd have to still vote on that then?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
We have to note them as valid, provided they are properly adopted. This was all addressed during the public hearing process. Yeah, so as far as like the effectiveness, I think it is for no more than 1 year, but is that from the date of adoption or is that from the date of inception?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So we know for sure,
If it says
cause,
legislative body, then it
Then
would
it's-
mean after vote, cause you're the governing body, the people are the
Right.
legislative body, so the
Yeah,
law
so-
says legislative body.
And in the tricky world of.
But everything's always great, so definitely check. I still think you have some very tight legal timelines to even pull something off before September right now, even if everyone was available, so.
Correct. I think we have like so many days from when we say we're gonna do,
that's the
we're gonna say that, and then you count backwards and,
Compelling argument.
or
I
you count
think,
it
yeah.
forward.
I mean,
Say that a
September
week.
is already set, so like that date is set in terms of announcing. People know that's coming, it's on every calendar.
I think that's
So-
our biggest hurdle is getting the appropriate number of checklist
we need a,
sessions scheduled, because other than that, it's just the posting of the warrant, which is 20 days before the voting session, so
I
that's the
guess-
only other thing that we have to accomplish. I think that was
Even if they ran in here and said, you're gonna hold this election, it's like, okay, that is still happening in September. Based on, now we tell somebody we're gonna do an election, then they have to do their, and it keeps kicking forward. There's a lot of dates. in there.
Saturday that Alana had to sit by law for an election, and like that's in July already, so, and that's for a September election, so I'm not really sure how we'd even we're behind that.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we just can't do it. But I'm just so nervous in the tricky world that something would.
Yes.
But that's why they give you the 120 days to hold an election, because the other ones are bound by the other requirements on how to hold an election. So the 120 is kind of like, we can't just tell you have to do it immediately, because we've already, through these other things, put enough roadblocks in that you have to hold the planning, but you have to hold the public session, you have to do this, you have to do that, and then it moves out. If we tried to say we were gonna do it earlier, we would probably miss a timeline, and then it would get all messed up, and then it would push it into like October or November.
Yeah,
I
I guess,
The primary is September 8th, where is it supposed to be held?
here.
this building.
Okay.
September 8th is what
Yep.
the easiest way to do is to do September 8th.
Yeah, to have the
We are
election.
So I mean, we're really just trying to,
Months away.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
we
even,
could
yeah,
literally
yeah.
come in and sit down with a
I
calendar
mean,
and figured out what the exact date we have, now that the hearing is passed, we could figure out the exact. But just in looking quickly at numbers, like.
like trying to
Sweat.
thread the eye of a needle here as far as dates go, because
Yes, exactly.
You know, you just don't wanna have somebody who's all prepared to sneak in. And what you're saying makes sense, I just wish it was written in blood somewhere.
If you don't have the officials, you don't have the officials.
Its own RSA, I have to look, I thought that had its very own RSA.
But like they've held their meeting, and the reason.
Oh, yeah, no, I,
This isn't like they were talking about it and somebody ran in
Right.
beforehand. They've
I
done,
just-
the planning board has done their due diligence
Sure
very
have.
well. They've held all their public meetings. They've held everything that needed to be held and the vote, and it's approved.
Yeah, I just, that little bit about legislative body having to
RSA
approve it.
67612, 67612.
I mean, what's the best, there's 0 dates available with everybody? Or is there a couple dates available, it's just, too soon as far as notice goes? I mean, do we have a list of dates that the required officials are available?
No, we just
all
have a
over the
list
place,
of
right, yeah.
dates that they're
Got it.
not.
They're not available.
Right, so I said if you know, you want us to come in maybe this week real quick and like sit down and put it all on a calendar.
Yeah, either that or I can just create one and have everyone do like a share file and just say, hey, like.
Say,
You know, I
I would
hate,
do everything, I'd put the like deadlines we have to follow and then like.
Yeah.
But I went to that election meeting kind of
Oh,
recap. I don't have the date in front of me, but Dee was very specific on, I have this many dates, like she's very supportive of everything, but she's like, I just can't.
can't do it.
Right.
There are specific requirements she has to follow to do this.
Yeah.
And even if we said it, we are right now, we are essentially 60 days
So
out.
close, anyway, I mean,
And I know the public hearing sort of fell within the parameter. I think even at that point, we were worried about not making it for September 8th. And then we got the public hearing on time. So now to like say, oh, we're gonna can we do it before, I think correct is very.
I can go along with waiting till September 8th. I think we just really need to do due diligence to explain to the public exactly what those dates are, because otherwise I feel like we'll get pushback, like,
also
we're gonna
just-
make you do this
Just guarantee them they're
faster."
protected.
That they're
So,
protected, yeah.
Under the RSA that Dawn just quoted, RSA 676:12, it says, the building inspector cannot issue a building permit within 120 days before an annual or special town or village district meeting if proposed changes in the building code or zoning ordinance could justify refusal of the permit once adopted.
So,
Yes.
so the RSA provides us with the time to get this squared away.
I believe it's also for design review as well.
Can you email that to me so I can share it with the
I
planning
sure
board?
can.
Okay, that's all we need. I'll tattoo that on my forehead.
Let's see, yeah, if we got that, I'll share that with the
It's,
planning board.
building permits, design reviews can all be paused for 100.
Okay, all right. If
And
the
then our
if the
September
public
falls way
understands
before
it,
that, so we're good.
that's great. Okay.
Alright, I'm
Approximately.
cool with that.
I can live with that.
It all, that's just how.
We're
it
sweating over
was.
here. No, that's great. Thank you all. Thank you.
And again, we are approximately 60 days out, and it's really hard to pull it
Yeah.
in. So that's
Oh,
well
no,
within
I
the.
know.
That's great.
Okay,
All
that's
right, so
perfect.
September 8th.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I believe
Thank
even in planning and zoning, Adam might know more, or probably John, who's done it for, so even when you're in conceptual and until you have your conditional approval, all new rules still start applying to you, so it's a long way out from that anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Correct, right, your conditional,
You see, if you put your application in, and you actually met with the board, then you're grandfathered in.
we may have some trouble.
I'm just kidding.
Going there.
I think
If you had a full application in with the planning board,
But it was withdrawn.
again, they had a concept, we're talking about this, they had a conceptual, it's not even a plan, it's not even
No, it's
there.
not even a plan.
You have to have a real
Right.
thing.
get
Correct.
It says
You have
here,
to have
this red building,
real-
we're going from the planning board for approval for this building, this set, this, the whole, like a full thing. Once you have that in, and you're on the board, you're on record.
Right.
Right.
Your time starts that time, right there.
He's still
All
a
right.
ways away.
So
from
even if something comes, 2 weeks later, because you were in, you're grandfathered from not being part of those rules. But from everything they already did, if he comes in now, we already have all this in, which kind of
Great,
supersedes.
that's-
Now you
yeah.
have a whole legal thing to say, listen,
Awesome,
we can play this both ways here.
that's great.
So whether we win or not, that's a different story, but at least we stand on the grounds of what we did before to not authorize something like this happening.
I think we're all on the same page.
But that
That's
would
a
go to
good-
legal.
Good resolve, actually, that's, whew. Thank you.
So for all of those listening, September 8th, with the national primary, there will be a special election to implement a moratorium specifically related to data centers.
Data centers in general, yes.
Okay,
And the thing is, it has to be as a warrant article.
Correct.
Why is that?
Everything's a warrant article.
Oh, okay.
yeah, if the legislative body is to implement something, it is a warrant article.
Even the budget, right.
Correct.
That's fine. Thank you. Civics 101.
We're all learning tonight.
All right, a special town election planning is now planned. Fees review, work session recap. Sorry for me not being there. There was I just didn't know about it. I got informed that there was gonna be a thing, and I was nowhere able to get there, so.
So the consensus of the board members was to move forward with some fee recommendations which will then go to a public hearing for adoption. That's a requirement by statute, so I would like to schedule that for your next meeting on July 20th. And I think what I need is I tried to like snoop through your workbooks just to see if I could come up with that set fee schedule without having to
Did you
go
have
back
any
and
luck?
rehash the meeting, so before we go far, I mean, that's one of the things, that's one of the posting requirements is I have to outline what the current fee is and then what the proposed change is to. So I would like to meet with somebody, or if you can share with me your notes, just so I can make sure I have that information correct for the,
I don't
Notice
know if that's
posting.
correct either, but, yeah, I have listed what the original, do you want?
I can get a copy from you after, you don't have to do it right now. But if you wanna go over them just to kind of like recap and bring Matt up to speed, that would be helpful, because my minutes were very vague about discussion, obviously, because there was quite.
Discussion was very
It
vague
was a
about
lot
the
of
discussion. So starting with recycling, well, let me start with, the building inspector.
Mhm.
We decided to approve his three
Yes.
suggestions. Those three suggestions, I could not tell you exactly what they were
So
from
one of them
memory,
was to
but
do a permit fee for the solar, but not also charge a separate electrical permit fee.
right.
The other one was the difference
75.
between new construction versus reconstruction was 30 cents per
Cents and
foot.
40
compared to
cents.
40% per square foot. He would like to keep them both the same because construction is construction. And
I can't remember
then
the third one.
I thought those were the only ones.
Oh, maybe they weren't.
I probably have it here in summary real quick.
Oh, my 8 million.
Let's see, and then a fence fee, $25
Oh,
regardless of the
yep.
size. This would make people get permits and can enforce the ordinance better. Obviously, there's certain requirements to putting up a fence as far as where they can be located, the pretty side to the neighbor, et cetera, but if he has to be out there inspecting them and making sure that they're in compliance, then there should be some type of a
Yeah,
construction
yeah.
fee.
So we just approved all of those. For recycling, there was a long discussion. We start out at this time, the cost of disposing of a passenger tire is $5. We move that up to 10. If I'm wrong, please correct me, okay? For commercial truck tires, they were $10. Did we raise it to 15? There's a lot of discussion about that.
Did you guys have what the actual
Yes,
cost
Well-
for us to get rid of?
well, some of the things we do, which was helpful.
Okay,
I can't even read my own notes. Household appliances were $10 each. I'm sorry, Steve? Commercial truck, we went from $10 to 15.
we're proposing, it still has to go to a meeting, Steve.
But that's a public hearing, right?
Next meeting, you
Yeah.
get all those fees official, because it could still be changed by people at the meeting.
Household appliances, which are things like washers, dryers, stove, heater, refrigerator, etc., were $10 each. and we raised that to 15. Electronic equipment such as televisions, printers, microwaves were $10, and we raised that to 15. Electronic ballasts, which I didn't know what that was, but it's the lighting fixtures for, I guess, fluorescent lighting, are $5 each, and we left it at $5 each. Household furniture and furnishings, like couches and love seats and chairs, were $20 each. We raised it to 25. For mattresses, oh boy, this got confusing,
This was a
okay.
tough one.
Mattresses are extraordinarily expensive to dispose of for the town. They're between $52 and $55 each to get rid of, and we've been charging 10.
Wow.
Well, depending on the size, I think it was 10 for the
15.
twin, and then it was 15 for the larger,
Right.
like queen, king size.
But nowhere near what it actually
No.
costs. Yeah, I was really surprised.
And I was actually shocked when I went through and did the research around surrounding towns. We aren't far off from what they're being charged. So it looks like within the past 18 months, resource waste is where they go. That's where a lot of our bulky product goes. That's where a lot of our neighboring towns dispose of their bulky items as well. So they must be receiving the same set of fee, but maybe they have other fees in line that are kind of offsetting that cost.
It must be. And so we had a lot of discussion about this because we could see that things like mattresses, if we charge $50, which is what it costs us to dispose of, we would be finding mattresses everywhere on the side of the road. So we opted to keep it at $15. It was formerly 10 for crib, twin, full-size mattresses and box springs. And for queen and king size mattresses and box springs, we went from 15 to 30. But again, these items are costing, $50, $55 to actually dispose of. So we decided to keep it reasonable and offset it other ways. Propane tanks were $5. We upped it to 10. Rugs and linoleum flooring, $10. If it's approximately 9 by 12. Building debris, dumpster, was 20, and we raised it to $35. There was a lot of talk about that. Okay, sorry. So this is for building debris. If you have a truck or trailer less than 8 feet, the bed of it, we raised it from $20 to $35. And if you have a truck or trailer that's greater than 8 feet, we raised it from $35 to $60. And this was after a lot of discussion with someone who's in the construction business and others who were saying that's a steal compared to other places.
What was that?
For like bulky building debris.
No, behind the truck.
This is why we need.
The truck to trailer.
Oh, the truck, if it's less than 8 feet, we want to raise it to 35, and if it's greater than 8 feet bed, we want to raise it to 60.
So I remember when this came up the first time, and I was actually the person that yelled in the back of the room because they were trying to get into all this weird stuff, and I was like, look, most commercial trucks are 8 feet or bit,
Yeah.
and all the other ones are like, oh, this
Yeah,
Chevy bed's a 5.5, this one's 4.5. I'm like, you get into, if you said a 6 foot bed, it won't work. I've been up there a couple of times, and there are several contractors in town that have vans,
Yeah.
and they show up with a van.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if truck or trailer, like if there's a better measuring tool for the stuff that's coming, like something that's attached to our equipment, and they throw it into one thing and then we dump it in, but if it fills the thing, for every time we fill it is a certain volume. But the thing was, some people show up with a truck, or maybe they have a Subaru and they show up with a trailer full of stuff, but those are like little household trailers or something like that. And then it's like, are we talking, you used to say full to the brim, like if it went to the bed rails, or if it was a mounted load or something like that. It got really confusing on how much stuff. People are like, well, I'm gonna mount it all up. Is it all going into that one dumpster? Or is it just,
Right, or do they have other things?
I changed out one door, so I have 6 pieces of 2x4 in my bed or something like that.
And we can't do it by weight because we don't have a scale. A lot of places do it by weight.
Were you saying building debris in a truck or trailer, or, I'm trying to figure what you,
Well, either the bed of a truck or a
The
trailer.
sign just says truck or trailer was this, but I'm saying some vehicles show up and they're like, I'm in a van.
In the truck or trailer is building debris.
If you are putting a full bed load, and you say full, of debris into the debris dumpster, which is construction debris,
Right.
we're trying to collect a fee. And then they even changed it to, the wood dumpster, I always thought we weren't charging originally, but now we are, and now there was something they were starting to charge for the bulky waste items, because there's been several bulky waste truckloads that have come up where people have been cleaning out like storage units, or somebody had like you could just tell that basically somebody cleaned out a house and they threw out a ton of stuff. So
Yeah, we did have the feeling that some people sort of taking advantage of what were very low prices, but on the other hand, the average homeowner may have a mixed load too.
there's definitely been some weird things up there where I see vehicles come in and I'm like, I don't necessarily see a sticker or that says that this is kind of a, you know what I mean? And then so I don't know how, the guys have seemed like they're trying to enforce stuff, but they're also trying not to get into fights with people or anything like that, but I think it is.
And it's fast moving with a lot of traffic up there too.
Correct, for the number of
Yeah.
people who are in there and they're trying to keep cardboard moving, or like when it gets full, they're trying to compact it, but then people come over, they're trying to be pretty quick on it. I just wondering if we need to, when we get to the public hearing, change some of that terminology, not the fee structure, but maybe get rid of truck or trailer, or if we had something that they had to put the debris in first, and if it didn't fill it up, then it was this much, if it filled it up, then we.
That is probably the most onerous part, is that type of debris.
Correct.
I mean, I think we made the right choice on mattresses because we can't charge $55.
And that's kind of
for
dry. A mattress
yeah.
shows up, a mattress is a mattress.
Yeah,
And that goes over to
exactly.
another pile and we try to get rid of it.
Yeah, everything else seemed pretty straightforward. We made, very, I think, reasonable, small increments, but I do think this is gonna be the toughie, is what do you do?
And
with
like,
the
I brought some
debris?
stuff up the other day, but some of it was like, a bunch of it was metal. I brought that over.
Yeah.
And some stuff was here. So it's like, how do you justify or break down the costs? Because the truck's full, but some of it's something we get money back from.
But again, we kept it pretty reasonable. I mean, we
It's
went
still
from.
reasonable. It's just sometimes, I think there's discretionary enforcement, which is fine
Well,
anyway.
right. And I'm not sure what we
Well, I
can
mean,
do
you
about
gotta
that.
figure if somebody's coming in with a van, to your point, the rear.
They were
of the
over there
van,
talking
unless-
to him. I saw somebody kind of being like, whatever, and he's like, the intent is, and they're like, this is a van, and he's like, you are throwing giant
Thing around,
sections
yeah.
of carpet that you remove because they were a carpet installer of carpet into the bin. You know, like, this isn't a truck, you can't charge me. And so I'm just saying, if we gotta watch our wording, and I was surprised how much you could put in a van, but if it's an extra tall van, you can put a lot of stuff in there. That's probably 3 truckloads worth of stuff, when I was like, wow. And they handled it well, and I think they came to an agreement. I didn't like hear but I think the guy paid some money for what he was putting in, and it's still super cheap from where they
Yes,
have to pay.
yes, it is.
If they went to get rid of it, or
Yes.
hold their own dumpsters, but to give them easier enforcement, that's what I'm trying to do, is make it simple for the guys there to be like, there's a sign, there's a fee, and move forward.
Well, we can think about that. That'd be a good thing.
That's someone else can come up for the whatever, for the public hearing.
But that's, unless you recall differently.
but Maybe we just
That's
say
what I
truck,
have in
trailer, van.
Yeah.
Just
Did
add the
those
one
numbers
slash
sound
and
right to
word.
you?
And
I've scribbled all over the place. It was sort of a moving
Keep the
target.
wording as minimal possible, so it can be interpreted any way they want.
And then was there for the municipal rentals?
Oh, we decided, no, we didn't really do anything with that. We decided that there shouldn't be private rentals, such as birthday parties or that type of thing. We just can't, we don't have the infrastructure, we just can't do it,
Nonprofits only.
yeah. And we didn't come up with a fee, the recreation department provided us with a ton of really useful material, but almost overwhelming amount of useful material, comparing fees, and if we were ever to lease out the fields at Marston, it sounds like they're so busy now with our own things that seems unlikely, but we probably should have that fee structure in if that ever came up, and, you know, and it should be a large amount, I think. I mean, a lot of places were charging like $300, $400 for an outside organization, or particularly if it was like a private camp that wanted to use it. And again, I don't know the availability, doesn't sound like there's a lot, because the town's using it a lot, but it should be high. And, yeah, we just kind of got stuck on it. I asked Recreation if they could perhaps tell us what, particularly for cleaning fees, even for nonprofits. We had some nice gentlemen here, representing a nonprofit, and they were saying that they made voluntary donations to the town to help offset their being here. You know, I don't know what the solution is. We don't have enough cleaning.
Right.
Because no matter, even if people take out their own trash or do a little sweeping, they're not scrubbing the floors and they're not cleaning the bathroom. And so I asked for more clarification, and I think unless you gentlemen remember coming up with fees that I don't think we got very far.
And if somebody ever needed a special exception for something, they can always come in front of the board and ask for it.
Right.
I think we held like one,
That's how it should be.
you know, remembrance for a
Celebration.
long-standing, you know what I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
an offhand thing, it was, and they needed the space.
Something comes up. But really, they get a ton of requests for birthday parties and anniversaries and things, and I just don't think there isn't anybody here at night or in the evenings.
I mean, they used to do stuff again over at the Old Town Hall in the area. I mean, it's a beautiful building, you know, but then to use the bathrooms, I think the bathrooms are technically in the SAU,
Yeah,
Yep.
yep,
which is a,
it's a problem.
Yep.
So you can't really be using it for private. I wouldn't think.
yeah, no, that kind of violates their rental agreement too. Okay, so that was a work session recap. On 7/20, we will hold a public hearing if you feel strongly about the recycling center fee changes only? Or will be for all fee changes, including
The building permit.
the building permit? That'll be taken by, okay.
So the public notice that goes out, I'll have to get that posted 7 days prior to the 20th, so it'll go out the end of this week. We'll have a list again of what the current fees are and then proposed changes for discussion.
Yeah, I've heard some places do like à la carte. I think we do one big fee for the building, but it all works. I don't know. I've heard Dale talk. All right, New Hampshire retirement, Group 1 employees.
This was on the agenda for the last meeting. I was hopeful to have more of a full board present before we had the discussion. We talked about rolling it out toward the end of the year, potentially sooner. I did ask that it be tabled at the last meeting again until we had more board members present, because the bare minimum, I think it should be a full discussion. But I was also hopeful that we would have a Q2 budget to review, just to make sure that we're in a position to roll this out sooner than later, because once the resolution is signed, it goes into effect by a date certain. So
Okay.
not that I want to continue belaboring this discussion.
Do you
because I,
have
of
any
course,
information to give us now while we wait so we can get maybe part of the discussion out of the way now in terms of what our anticipated costs would be and or the time requirement if we were to, let's say, enact it on the 7/20 meeting?
I don't have any updated figures. I had proposed something to you back in March, I believe, but if you want it updated as of current date, just to kind of see what that budgetary impact would be, I would have to recalc.
Okay. You are going to have that recalculated for the next one, or you're
Yes.
saying, okay,
That's the biggest thing, is I just want to make sure that the budget can support an earlier adoption of the Group 1 employees, rather than like we were talking final, like the third or fourth quarter.
we were definitely worried about it impacting the hiring of our highway department,
Correct.
because that's the biggest impact, and where people are coming from different jobs that are coming from it, we're an outlier. All right, well, look at that, we are flying through this, and there's still no Mr. Sachs, so we're gonna continue on. Action items from the prior meeting. Mendel Road.
Mendel Road. So I have notified the town attorney that you, as a board, have opted to proceed with properly laying out Mindle Road and who will be responsible through petitioning the county through Superior Court. I did get a response back last week that we do have a conflict of interest because our present attorney, which is the law firm of Drummond and Woodsum, represents both the town of Nottingham and the town of Raymond. So they obviously can't represent both parties, so we may have to seek alternative legal counsel to proceed forward.
Now,
There's
instead
this
of,
up. It's never
but if
easy.
they, could they potentially hold a, what is the term? Before you go to court, sometimes you hold a meeting,
Oh, yes.
Mediation type of
I mean,
thing?
yes.
mediation.
Mediation.
Can they host some form of mediation between the two towns to try to?
That is what they were going to propose. The attorney that handles the town of Raymond was going to speak with their town manager and see if we could initiate that conversation and see if that can get us somewhere sooner.
Be good.
Hopefully they can understand this isn't like a giant legal thing, it just goes before the Superior Court, we both state our cases, and then they explain that we can either continue maintaining the road in the level that we can maintain it. It's more just saying, we can't come to an agreement, we need help. We just kick it up one level and it says, yep, this is the road, these are the two towns, this is who's gonna take care of it. Great, so we should hopefully know more next meeting, instead of just being a dot that we've pushed off for a year now. Okay,
An exclamation mark.
Where was it at then?
Mendel Road?
I know, where was it at now?
it's in Raymond.
No, I know where the road. That's concrete. No, but what is your decision?
We aren't doing our attorney, the large attorneys of Drummond and Woodsum, as attorneys in their facility that represent the town of Nottingham and Raymond. So their attorney that focuses on Raymond is gonna see if we can maybe meet to do a mediation before, but there's been nothing done yet. We're gonna attempt to meet in the middle. Now, would we have to hold, that would be a legal thing, so we would just hold at their office, or does that have to be like they would come to our meeting, or do we go to their meeting? I don't know how that works.
Field trip?
I'm not really sure.
I don't know how two towns meet, like if they wanted to hold a meeting to say that they were meeting with us.
Yeah.
But it could be a legal meeting, so maybe it's not, I'm not sure. Whatever. Me thinking out loud.
I would think that it would probably be a joint meeting at one location or the other.
Alright. Town Beach. You have anything? Coming out of the loop.
Waiting on the legal, right?
Getting on the legal.
Okay, and I didn't get the full recap on. Apparently you said exclusively kind of what we're waiting on, everything like that for legal in terms of and insurance on what can or cannot be done.
Correct.
Okay.
So the issue that we have is the recreational immunity does not apply because we restrict to Nottingham residents only during prescribed days and times.
Yep.
So the recreational immunity does not apply. And the town's general liability policy is minimum coverage at $1 million, but it's only under specific requirements of the contract.
Okay,
So
now, we only have $1 million balloon. Isn't that kind of normal though for most?
yes,
People-
that is the standard
So
general liability.
that people have. So let me just play this out a little bit. We have $1 million balloon. And
Per occurrence.
not relating to the town beach, on our own property. Somebody gets hurt on a town property, a kid, who knows? I don't know, they walk into a building and they walk out back and cut themselves or whatever, get a infectious disease, whatever. So we get sued. And it comes in at $5 million set. It goes through the courts and somehow we were liable and we get sued. So the $1 million policy would be the insurance company, but anything beyond that, we would just pay for potentially out of like the
If
reserve
the
fund.
judgment was against the town and
Correct.
found that the town was negligent, Yeah, that would be a matter of,
In all likelihood, it would never go to a jury trial. It would be settled.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it,
So how does the-
2% of these?
How does the insurance handle that? I'm just asking in terms of, we've heard that maybe a higher balloon is required, but is it the paying of the fee is required? So it's like, if the judgment was higher, the insurance only covers to $1 million, and we would have to cover the other portion of a settlement out of the unassigned fund balance?
potentially that's your only other pool to pull from.
Okay. So in the still highly unlikely case, could that potentially help us with any of the other stuff? Like if we're talking about the $10 million balloon was considered to be something of a protection up to a certain point. But that is only an assumed potential case awarding, which is again assumed. We'd have to have a potential injury, potential, be back all the way through. Is there something, this is speaking out loud, to move to legal, like maybe we have, like, our insurance covers $1 million, but then our document says,
No, because any use of the unreserved fund balance has to be voted on by the legislative body or through an emergency meeting process. You'd have to petition Superior Court at the Department of Revenue to expend from it, so
even if
you
we
couldn't give
receive-
that caveat, you couldn't reserve those funds for that purpose.
It's not reserved, okay. I'm just saying if we had to actually pay, like if we just got sued, our town truck hit a kid and it was a horrible accident, whatever, and we got sued. Again, not Town Beach, just us, under the liability, and the
It's a payment plan.
judgment came out much bigger than 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
How do we handle that? I don't know how we handle
That's a question I'm not prepared to answer. I would have to defer it to our insurance to,
it. Okay. I was just seeing if, and then if we were to take how we would handle that, how if we moved it to the beach, is our insurance generally considered enough? But then it's the payment of a settlement, what the balloon coverage is for, right? We're gonna cover you for up to $1 million in damages is the word. And again, we have to assume how bad something would be to actually have that.
Right. I mean, if it's a broken leg, $1 million will cover it, right? If it's a kid who flips
I
off their,
should hope.
well, but who knows, right?
Nowadays.
Nowadays, I don't, but if it's a kid who flips over on their electric bike, hits their head and is partially paralyzed for life, that's a $25 million lawsuit.
but they would have to be able to provide proof that the town caused that.
If they went to court, but they don't go to court, they settle with the insurance company. I mean, that person's insurance, even if they signed, because I think there was a question about, well, if we signed waivers, would that be okay? Well, waiver is a nice way of sort of warning you or reminding you, of your responsibility. But your insurance company, if they're paying out millions of dollars to take care of you over the years, they're going to sue the town. You don't have to. Your insurance company would sue the town.
Oh, that. I get you.
So in other words, you could sign a waiver saying, I promise I will never sue, no matter what crazy things I do, but it doesn't matter, because when your payment of your, whatever, $1 million broken leg or whatever happens, goes to your insurer will sue to get the money from the town. You don't have to do it yourself. I mean, you could also sue for,
But our
mental
insurance
distress
company
and
would
everything.
pay it, correct? Or do they say, well, we pay $1 million and that's,
Well, that's,
I thought that-
I assume you pay $1 million and the rest would be on the town, right? That's the upper
if
limit.
we were
That's
considered.
presumption.
For incident. And in
I don't
that
know how
case,
it
then
works.
you might, and may you never. I know an ambulance chaser. Yeah, so you never, I think only 2% of these kinds of lawsuits go to jury trial. They're all settled out of court. And it's your insurance company that's like Primex against
Whoever,
Joe Schmo's insurance company,
the law references
It's
Joe
a, it's
Morris.
a, it's a little, when you really think about it, it's a little scary. And like $1 million doesn't sound like so much anymore.
No,
The businesses virtually, a lot of people carry umbrella policies to cover over whatever their homeowners is. Right, so you're talking umbrella policies to cover pasture stand.
But we can't stack an umbrella policy onto our Primex municipal policy. And I don't know if that's a statutory thing or if that's Primex's thing, but I can't.
But there has to be a way, if our truck is hitting somebody and we're getting sued for more than that, it gets paid out. So where's the gap? I'm trying to find the gap, mind the gap.
Mind the
Trying to
gap, that's a good
understand what
question.
exactly is out there, what our coverage does. How do we pay for something like this? Does our insurance pay?
Isn't it true though, we all buy insurance and we don't know anything about it till we need it, right? Or hopefully you never need it.
Right.
I don't think we're alone.
Do other towns have a $5 or $10 million?
The state doesn't even have,
No, that's standard. No, that's not negotiable. You can't just say you raise it.
correct, Primex doesn't have a $10 million policy for anybody.
Okay.
They just say the term is 1 million, but I feel like they pay for much higher, because that's what I'm trying to get at, is
Where does that money come from?
not even what money, does million mean million and it stops, or does million pay for, that's what we say, but it really pays for whatever?
Yeah.
It's just standard listed as whatever, but
It's a
of
good
all,
question.
Primex is like, we don't have that policy. All of our policies are this. So if they're covering Manchester with $1 million policy, and they have plenty of like, I mean,
Well,
I don't
Primex
even know
isn't
what's happening
gonna
down in
lose
Hampton.
money.
You heard there was like a shooting down there, right?
Yeah.
Somebody sued the cop for no bid shooting or something. I gotta imagine that's way higher. So I'm just curious where this actually goes.
It's a good question to,
Does our insurance actually cover
Ask.
us?
like, to do a scenario and say exactly how does this work? But
Correct.
it's a state-run insurance. They're doing well. Are they returning money to us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, we did get notice of a return of surplus, so I think the total between the property liability and the workers' comp, we're getting about I think it was like $4,800
Yeah.
back. So it's a premium contribution, it comes back to,
So they're in a fine financial position, keeping their limit at $1 million.
that's the benefit of being part of a small member risk pool, where if there is, like, if they've charged the towns a certain contribution level, but they didn't utilize them, or maybe there weren't as many claims, and there's a surplus of proceeds, they come back to the individual members. We haven't had one in about four years, I think now. But it does happen from time to time, so with the insurance increases that we saw this past year, it's nice to have that
Nice
little
to
bit of
get-
money coming back to kind of offset the premium.
When was workman's comp?
Yeah.
And the
And
other,
then,
it's just general
Yeah, the property liability.
property liability. It's a thorny subject, huh?
But I will have to get clarification on what happens with that
Yeah,
additional gap in
it's
the
interesting.
potential of a litigious society.
Yeah, I just wanna know what it means. If their policy is just boilerplate, $1 million for everybody, but it covers all these municipalities and payouts are higher, then
how does that happen?
are we okay because the payout, while it says is $1 million, goes
Yeah.
higher? That's what I'm asking. Or where do we go from there? So if we can find that out, and I know we're hitting the holiday season, so hopefully people are done vacation. And then we can try to make some headway on this.
This isn't on the agenda, but, just, can we have an update on the landfill sampling?
Oh, yes, so there was landfill sampling that was conducted, I think I reported that in a prior meeting. I believe the required guideline for water sampling is 500 feet proximity to the landfill. Nottingham actually has done sampling up to 1,000 feet radii of the landfill, just because in the initial stages, there were some properties that, there were PFAs or PFOAs detected in the water sampling, so they do sporadic testing. Sometimes they'll sample in a new property. This was one of the instances. There was a property, a 5-unit complex at 259 Stage Road. 259 Stage Road. They did the initial water testing. There were elevated levels that were concerning about the drinking water quality. So we immediately noticed the property management company, let them know that there was an issue with the drinking water, and that until we could get some initial retesting done, the town has been providing drinking water for the tenants in that building. And we did a secondary follow-up testing through Eurofins. They're our contracted water sampler, and the levels came back the same through the second testing. So right now we're working, CMA is actually the one that does the oversight of our landfill water testing sampling. The annual requirements, they do the filing through New Hampshire DES for us. So between CMA, myself, the property owner, and DES, we're working together to come up with a solution, but there probably will need to be some type of a pre-treatment
That's what I was
system
wondering.
installed at the property.
So it would be at that individual property?
Correct.
Like some sort of filtering system?
It'll be a pre-filtering before it actually comes in. So again, it's still very preliminary. I don't know what the cost is going to be, but obviously unless we're able to prove that the cause of the elevated PFOAs in the drinking water are from some other source, it makes kind of sense. I mean, if you look at the proximity of where the landfill was to where this property is located, it's definitely.
But do we test at the landfill, be like, this is
Yes.
point X, and the number is this?
We have a number of properties that are tested regularly on an annual basis. And there were some initially that had detection, and those, I
But
can't think of the number.
the
off
number
the top of my
shows
head.
like, oh, it's a little bit lower, but if this is higher, I mean, if it's higher downstream, then that might not be us. Like, so is their number within
We don't know.
us?
Yeah, but that's a good question.
I have the test results. I'm not qualified to be able to
That property
analyze
did
them.
have a
I'm
lot of
just told
trash.
that I'm just told that there are elevated levels. I mean, there was another property in close proximity. I mean, you gotta figure, this is within 1,000 feet of the landfill. There was another property further up on 152 within another 1,000 feet that also had some questionable items buried, that when the bank had foreclosed on it, the town actually initiated proceedings against them to get the property cleaned up and mitigated. So it could be resulting from that, but again, it's a burden of proof scenario where.
Well, just, if we have that, if the landfill is higher than the property in question, then you could, okay. But if the property in question
The way around,
is
yeah.
higher, or, cause
That's a
there's
good point.
filtration, 1,000 feet of filtration, blah, blah, blah. If it is higher, then it can't be us, because there's no way that it will multiply
backwards,
on
right?
its way there.
To be determined. Thank you for bringing this up today. I didn't know if there'd been any, and I wasn't sure if there was a filtering system or how you handle that.
Ask the people of Litchfield, ask the people of Merrimack, ask the people of
Everywhere.
everybody around, that area.
So with that, do we have to do anything? Do we have to do additional testing to more buildings in the 1,000 foot, like to see, or do we see, like, is there an issue with the
We
landfill?
will-
Do we have to like redig something?
So we did what was required per the recommendation of New Hampshire DES within the budgeted amount for additional testing, which they were kind of pushing us for, but it wasn't a requirement. We'll obviously have to budget more for it. I mean, we're at about, I think we're just shy of about $4,900 a year for testing at both the site and potential affected properties. And I think with the additional testing that they wanted to do, it was another $2,000, and unfortunately, we just didn't have it budgeted, so we did what was required, plus adding in these few. I think there was like 2 or 3 new samples, this being one of them, that were added for this year. So yes, we should probably seriously consider doing some further downstream testing to see if it's
Good to know for the budget.
result.
Thank you.
That's cheerful. Action items for next meeting. We got the quarterly 2 budget, New Hampshire retirement, hopefully Mendel Road, at least another step. Maybe Mr. Sachs will show up. And hopefully we have something else to belabor on the town beach.
Do we go public?
We do, under B for hiring. Short and sweet,
Just B for hiring.
correct.
Okey-doke. Public comment. If you have public comment, please come up, state your name. We have a 3-minute.
Bruce Flannery, Deerfield Road, Nottingham. I just want to check back in on the town beach. I understand you just said that you're waiting on legal and I guess it was insurance. Going back through the records, it appears that we've been 60 years. I'm not aware of the town beach not being open for 60 years in a row. I've been only here for 15, but looking at the record that we acquired the property in the fall of 64, I would take it that we've been 60 years of use of the town beach. And I know I watched the meeting on the YouTube the other day from your last meeting, and I know it kind of got dropped. You said the ball kind of got dropped because of misinformation about insurance and so forth. And I'm understanding you probably would have told us something if you could tell us something, but I'm going to be the thorn in your side about this. And I'm not going to go away if that doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen this year, like I said in my last time that I brought this up, this is a valuable asset of the towns. And it's been something that I know my family has enjoyed and a lot of fond memories down there. And I think that it really got to be a very good place over the last few years, especially last year when you had the young woman monitoring the parking lot. And so I hope that you guys can find a way to open it this summer before the summer is gone. And but I would say that I'll be the guy that keeps showing up in September, October, November, whatever it's going to take. So, and I'm not sure what else you can say. I understand that you got to wait some time if you're waiting for insurance, but I mean, historically, somebody's got to take the bull by the horns and go, let's figure out what insurance we can and can't do. I know personally, my son and daughter-in-law wanted to get married at the pavilion over at Pawtucket Bay State Park. I went and paid for it, got it all set up, and I said, oh, by the way, we need $1 million policy or whatever it was if you're going to serve alcohol. Right? My insurance person said, good luck. I called the second person, they said, absolutely. Do you have homeowners insurance? Yeah. Okay, we know that you're homeowner, blah, blah, blah. Send them all that. Within 24 hours, I had a policy. So that I could serve alcohol and protect the state of New Hampshire for me serving alcohol on their property. So, to our guests. So, I can't believe that if we open this up and do something, there isn't some way to find some way to work either insurance-wise, or I understand either insurance-wise or people-wise down there, and I understand the problem with the people, but insurance-wise, I mean, have we really looked at all the alternatives, or are we just taking what one insurance person tells us? Because personally, I give you my experience there with the state of New Hampshire, personally, business all my life, and handle a lot of different insurance, and I always found a way with additional somebody else coming in to cover me for something. I'm talking $1 million type things where our standard insurance ended at $1 million, but I needed more than that for my boss to let me go further, right? And there are all sorts of options. Insurance companies love to write policies. That's how they make money. They don't make money by not writing policies. So I just want to make sure that we are really doing a thorough job of looking at all the alternatives so that hopefully we can get this open back up again. Because 60-year history being kind of blocked does not feel very good to a lot of us.
Right. And I'll quickly go, I have no problem. We are trying to talk about this, and I don't know if everybody fully understands. So the current landowners asked a question. Now, if I can just sidebar here, I have a camp in Maine, and I have a landowner that's 2 down from us, and he is a very generous man. But we had somebody new up this weekend, and they were like, he is taking on a ton of liability because he has free range of his jet skis, free range of scooters on dirt roads, and doing all this stuff that if something happened and somebody asked a question, they asked a question, and our answer wasn't good. So when we started pulling at it, now you're a private individual, and we are unfortunately a government. And by that, we are limited on who we can work with in terms of where we're paid into Primex. And Primex says this is kind of what our coverage is. That's kind of where I was pulling the string, is like, well, I understand that it's a boilerplate 1 million, but I've, all these local municipalities, things happen out there and something could happen. I mean, you had that ridiculous fire that happened up in Maine at the lumberyard. The third person just died from that explosion, 2 first responders and one of the owners. I just heard that over the weekend. And that business had been in service for, I think, 120 years. So it's not that we can't go back to 60 years. It's, they ask the question, and it's what are they willing to take on for liability? Now, the individual I know down the beach is apparently willing to take on a ton of liability that he's just not talking about, or he must have a great balloon policy because he is a dentist as well. So maybe everything is just covered under that. But he is a private individual, and we are a public entity, and I don't know of anybody else that we can work with. Now, they can get balloon coverage, but then it covers everything, and it's a giant balloon, and then we're paying a private individual to get insurance. And we don't even know if we can legally do that. That's, again, another one of those things where it's like, well, sure, they can call and get coverage, but why are they going to take on the additional financial burden for us to go to the beach? So we got to find that gap, and we can't just say, hey, here's a check. Like, it's all up in the open. We can't just tell them to get it, and then we're going to reimburse them. We're going to see if we can. That's one of the questions out there, is can we legally pay a private individual to get insurance on themselves so we can cross their land? Which, when you say it out loud, you're like, that's kind of weird. Why would you do that? But we're stuck, right? I mean, when they took it over in the 60s, they had absolutely phenomenal records of like land was given and access was granted, but like the terms of it are like that was it. And then we don't have much better records than that. So we have to go off from handshake deals and everything like that. And up to this point, the question hadn't been asked. And when it was asked, we turned, we looked for an answer, and all of our people were kind of like, And that's where we're at. And so now people are digging in, looking in through other types of things. I mean, somebody's like, oh, I saw this town beach over here. Yeah, well, that town owns from the beach to the road, so they cover their own land. We own 5 acres on the other side of, I don't know how many acres. It's a long road, and it's a nice, peaceful wood road, but there are blind turns, and, the concern was, we limit access, and we're like, oh, recreational immunity sounds great, but we limit access. So that recreational immunity is for large tracts of land, allowing snowmobilers across it, but they're allowing whoever happens to make it there to be safe, and they're covered from it. We're limiting it, so we've got rid of that. So do we want to open the beach up to everybody, get rid of the gate attendant and everything, and just say, hey, there's an open beach here, and it'd have to be open 24 hours a day? So then that they're not going to be
And you
like,
wonder about the impact that would have on police and fire and emergency services.
or the beach itself, because now our tiny parking lot is just filled with people, and then there's just random calls, and it's just going to get trashed by people. So that's not something we want to do either. So that's
And then the
just,
state is in this too, because the state has an easement to take care of the dam.
Yes.
And the dam is going to be redone. How will that impact things? It is amazingly complicated.
yeah, we can go through and get this all fixed. I mean, that beach will be closed in the upcoming years when they go to replace the dam.
I understand the whole lake's gonna be gone to everybody for a
Right.
year, right?
I mean, it won't be much of a beach. It'll be just an additional part of a field at that point.
A boulder field.
So I agree with you that the beach is a beautiful, valuable, I've had a lot of great times up there. It is quaint, it is quiet. I felt really bad for the little heat stretch we had. I mean, it was kind of vital for people through like the COVID era and everything like that, when the New Hampshire beaches were overrun, for us to be able to have it. So, but we have to, they've asked the question, we have to be able to give them the right answers. And right now, we have a lot of people staring at each other, and legal, when you talk, like you said, to insurance, one guy's like, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to ask additional questions to see that we can ask them and hopefully find out, like, our current thing is correct. And from year 1, when we wrote an agreement, to year 2, somebody at Primex put an asterisk on it, which basically said this policy is null and void or this doesn't cover anybody. And we're like, if you actually read it, you're like, what was the point of that asterisk? And they didn't have a good answer for that either. So we are trying at the speed of government. And that's the best I can tell you.
We're discouraged too.
I understand, but I mean, at the same point, and I understand that you get blindsided by this asterisk. I understood, I listened to that and understood that. But I think also this needs to, some kind of final solution needs to be set up. I mean, an agreement with the landowners for the long term, right?
And I think they would want that too, but they just want the protection. They want to know that when the gate is open, that we're doing what we're saying we're going to do. We're going to install cameras. We're not going to go through the process of installing cameras because we can't get there right now. They would allow the town access, obviously, but there's just a lot of questions that we don't have answers to, and we keep asking them, and maybe some point we can get high enough up at Primex or somebody will answer the question, because we've asked the people that write policies. I wanted to ask the people that enforce policies, like the people that are dealing, hey, if I get sued, what are you gonna do? And they're gonna say, oh yeah, this would be fine. Because the other guy's like, he doesn't seem helpful at all. His answers are just like typical insurance salesman to me. So we've gone way over 3 minutes, but we'll talk about it more because we're kind of doing the past agenda item stuff. You can continue to come back and we'll continue to talk about it. We have nothing new to say because there's nothing new to say except for we're trying. We keep asking. I think about this when I drive to work. I've had a 4-hour drive today. I was talking about it and thinking about it then too, like how. And I was even thinking about my neighbor, and it's like, nobody's ever really asked a question, or maybe he just doesn't care. But it's like, if you ask the question and you want to be covered, because at some point, somebody could get hurt, we can't just say, what if, it can't be like a Godzilla policy, a volcano policy, like continue going down the road. But that's what the umbrella policy is supposed to cover you for generally everything. If $1 million is enough and would cover them out from them and they would be protected, then they would probably be okay with it. In terms of that, they don't have to fork out the rest of a settlement. Like, does our insurance cover us in an accident up to fruition or up to settlement? And if it does, then let's move forward with that. So I've got a new question, and we will ask, and I will follow up with Ellen, and she'll send it out. And they cover about 30 governments, so they'll be like, we'll get to you in line. And they will talk to us in probably a week because they're at the speed of government as well. So.
And it's been a holiday. Everybody's been out.
I appreciate it. I get it. I'm frustrated. You're frustrated. They're frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. But
I think the town is trying to take ownership of this, that we need to manage this. And this is something that's been kicked down the road for 60 years, as you say.
Yeah.
Apparently there is nothing in writing. In some ways, we've been the recipients of generosity of the landowners being able to access this piece of consolation prize for taking all of this other land for the state park. And I appreciate that, but I think we do need to take ownership of this, and we're trying very hard to do that.
All right.
And if somebody's listening is like, I know the answer to that question, and they want to provide the magical answer, but I feel like we've said the same 5 bullet points and nobody's come up with anything.
And it can't just be from AI anymore. I've got a lot of answers from AI, and I can Google too. This is a very complicated thing. Yeah. This is a very complicated situation that doesn't fit into an easy Google. and yeah, I live on Deerfield Road too. You're a neighbor. We're all frustrated, and we all want to find.
I mean, the real crux of it was 60 years ago when they got this deeded. It was not deeded with access. So
that's how we took
we're now dealing with a 60-year either typo or a 60-year whatever, but it wasn't deeded access, so we don't have deeded access to it.
Right, but if the state were to take it back, they do have deeded access.
No, the Dam Bureau is not the same as Parks and Rec or.
No, but they are the state of New Hampshire, and the state of New Hampshire has access to the dam.
For maintenance.
For service and maintenance, but they don't, yeah.
Right.
And not particularly along that road, it's just a generosity, again, that was extended as things moved over the years. So it's not
Right.
even a.
Where the
gated
state
access.
access is not the original access point.
Oh, okay.
And the state has bigger financial coffers than we do. So if they wanted to jump into a legal battle on a pissing match, let them. But
And we're
I
happy
don't,
to have them come through as we are the town, should this be sorted out.
Yeah.
So.
we're trying.
We'll see you next month. It's okay,
Come on.
it's okay.
I'll be watching in the meantime.
You won't forget.
All right, well, I appreciate it.
Linda Prashadney, Campbell Court, same subject, the beach. So I worked for an insurance company before I retired. And the insurance company that you're using today is the only insurance company you're allowed to use as a government organization?
No, we can't answer that. I mean, what I can say is that Primex is our current insurer. They provide our property liability, workers' comp, and general liability insurance.
But you don't have another choice of an insurance company to go with?
I'm not saying that there isn't another choice. That is who the town is contracted with for services for this year.
I don't know if we
There
can
are
call it
potential-
Allstate. Like, I don't know if we can do that.
Yeah,
Okay, so another
Correct.
question or thought is companies will buy insurance up to a certain amount, so say your $1 million limit. Then there's other companies that will give you excess coverage above that. Have you researched getting another carrier to give you the excess coverage? Because you're saying that your current company will not
I'm
do
gonna throw
it.
one thing out too for you. If we go to that scenario and we get it, and there is companies out there,
Yep.
and they come and say, hey, we'll do it, it's $15,000, I'll never vote to open that beach. I'm not gonna put that much money into the town beach, whether they vote for it or not. But there comes a point where if this beach start costing 30 grand to run, it's too much money, in
Okay,
my opinion.
okay.
Put it right out there on camera, just so you know. That's how I feel.
If
You know,
we were
there is-
determined and it became a large dollar amount, we would probably have to see, I mean, we were allocated 19,000 for staffing. That wasn't for insurance. So then we'd have to look at, do we even have a line item swap? Or would it be something we have to kick to next year to put as a warrant article to move forward? And, you know, I mean, the other warrant article was there that said, will you take all, which we couldn't do anyway. It's like pulling non-taxable money, which I don't really know what that is for a small government. But and that got voted down. So we're in the area we're in right now. So I will gladly see what other things are out there, and if again anybody knows, but we are kind of limited, I believe, with who we can participate with as, because
We
we're in
were
a
told-
municipal pool.
we were told by Primex that we could not stack additional coverages onto our existing policy, but I don't know if we could supplement with a separate policy and how that would work, because again, it goes back to then the town is insuring a private property. We cannot expend public funds on private purposes. So are we in that gray area? Not even a gray area, it's very black and white. So again, these are why these questions are being posed to legal counsel for better interpretation, so we can make sure that the board is making the best decision for the proper and appropriate management of the town parcel.
Okay, because I know that they do stack limits with other carriers. Okay, so then another thought is, I travel a lot, I do a lot of excursions when I travel, and in some cases, they ask us to sign a hold harmless agreement. Can we do that?
So how would we, potentially, because I've, again, in my travels, thought about this.
Yeah.
But then we're getting into like, we try to limit access, but then there are people who are already trespassing. So like the people that are trespassing going to the beach, and then you're like, well, you were trespassing, but they still got harmed. I mean, you've heard of the cases that people are breaking into a house and they get injured breaking into a house and they sue the people that they're breaking into because of some issue.
They will settle. Yeah.
So I don't think, like, we could say, like, when you get your annual parking pass, you need to sign.
I'm talking about every day that they go, they show the gate attendant that they have a hold harmless agreement for that day for everyone in their car.
So then that goes back to the staffing issue in terms of that would mean that we would have to be staffed 100% the time the gates open.
Yep.
Which we would try to do, which I was gonna try to talk about the town of Milton has a beach and they have a gate attendant, but they charge for every person that goes in. So we could potentially hold when I looked at the town of Milton, but they own the whole property, so this is again very different. But when you go to their beach, it's like if you're gonna launch a boat, it's $10. If you have a car, every adult over X age was this amount. And so then we're gonna charge people to go across, which that would at least cover the staffing portion.
Yeah.
Because we could collect some funds or whatever, but the staffing is the problem. We had a person interested to cover some time, but if they're sick, then the gate's closed, whatever, which if we had limited access, I'm sure, whatever, but the staffing is an issue. To at least to your point, they would have to be at the beginning, so that saying whoever traversed from point A to town property at point B will hold harmless. We never pursued that completely because staffing was still the issue. So we have some money, but no people. People are just, Charlotte has sat here and said, we're looking for anybody, retirees, happy old people, angry old people, like anybody that wants to sit in this booth, and nobody
I'm one
applied.
angry old people.
And the one person applied, now works for Adam, so.
It was ironic, we answered a Facebook message.
I'm just kidding. So I appreciate it. If we can get further, and if we maybe look at, a fee-based system, which I'm sure people would be upset about, but the fee-based system would potentially be to pay for the staffing. Is it changing? It is, but there's just a lot of questions that still comes back to the base part that we don't have is the protection and the coverage. And if we can get those, does it hold harmless, hold true? It does, but then it would definitely have to be person shows up to the gate, opens the gate and stands there.
Right.
We received some quotes for security companies, but they were not cheap.
Sure.
But there would be people there, but then there would be fees. So every person that goes in is gonna be paying $10, $15, and we're gonna end up at or more expensive than Pawtuckaway, which, whatever.
Yeah. But I was just thinking that the hold harmless is a day-to-day thing, and if you have to go through that gate and there is a gatekeeper there, they're the ones who would manage that. And if you don't give them your hold harmless
Right,
agreement.
but how much did your excursion cost you when you went on those excursions? They weren't free. So when you went, you paid a fee to go on an excursion company, and then you said, I won't hold you harmless, right? So it comes down again to the fee for the staffing
Money,
to
yeah.
ensure.
Yeah. And we have a tax cap and we have to do due diligence for the whole budget. It's tough, to really manage that the way
Oh, yeah, and
it
our
needs
landfill's
to be
leaking.
now. Yeah, things are different than they were 60 years ago, but I appreciate any ideas. I don't mean to, say,
Yeah.
don't send me any more AI ideas, but I have gotten quite a plethora of AI solutions, and I'm like, this doesn't apply to this position, but I welcome.
I think you've asked a
suggestions.
couple of
Thank
good questions. We can continue to look at those to see potential additional stacked coverage from a different company
Yeah. 'Cause I
if
think that's your
legally
cheapest route to
okay
go.
to do.
you. Thank you.
Because that again comes down to we don't own the land.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care. I thought he was falling asleep.
Nope, just
Robin Marshall, 189 Old Turnpike Road. I'm just tired. So ironically, I did work for the same insurance company as she did, but I don't question the insurance. I understand the insurance part of it. But what other things have you, I've researched till I'm really tired of researching, but has anyone contacted the state to see what the state would recommend for landlocked piece of land? Because I don't even think it's legal. to
there
do
are
that on
different
land.
ways to do that, but those ways cost money. And there was a warrant article that said thou shalt not spend money to pursue this. So
Has anyone made a call, or you're just
thinking that costs money? Like, has anyone called the state to say, I haven't, but I will?
If it goes to the state would basically, like this road layout, would end up going to Superior Court to say, we own land, they own land, we want to cross said land, how do you say we do it? And courts cost money.
Well, at least get recommendations of what you can do legally, what actions you could take, even if it does cost money, because warrant article
I
could
think
always be
I think we do
proposed,
know
but-
the possible actions that we could take. None of them are free.
I just haven't heard them in all the
And-
times I've heard
And
about
I
the
think
town
so,
beach, so.
yeah, I mean, and there has been some research done in the past. In fact, the landowners certainly know their own deeds and all very well. It's not a sure bet that if this went to court, that it would be found in our favor, might not. But in our favor means pretty aggressive approach, costly approach, and what would that cost us even if the landowners were forced to sell that to us? It wouldn't be free given to us. What would be the cost? And can we afford that?
I'm just thinking about the whole issue, like, would they recommend insurance or things like that? Like, if they just would help in the situation.
Well, I think
There's no
insurance
like
is
one
one-
state office, it would end up going to Superior Court, and then they would say, you're allowed, or do you think there's a state office? You give me
No, I'm just thinking, I mean, the state is great about passing everything down in the municipality, not really giving us in return.
Be right back
I'm
where we
thinking,
started.
it would be
Right.
wonderful if we
They-
could get some guidance,
they
but I
would
don't
most
see that.
likely would end up have to be in court, and then they would say, this is what you're gonna have to
Give us the
do.
land to begin with.
Right.
You think they would be like,
we
oh,
should-
you know what, we probably didn't do that right, so here's
Well,
how we
they-
could help.
they
That's,
didn't
I
do it
didn't
right.
mean like,
They didn't do
I'm
it
not
right.
talking aggressively, like taking anything, I'm just thinking they're the ones that originally gave us the land, like,
Yeah.
did they not think what could happen?
No, they take no responsibility
So I didn't know
for
if
it.
anyone had just reached out to the state to
It's a
kind of
nice
be like,
thought though, Robin, I
We-
appreciate
you
you.
started this, now we're in this mess, and then,
I mean, like when we talked to the Dam Bureau, the same thing, I mean, they didn't have much because they were kind of the property owners at the time, but even since that point, government has grown to the point that nobody even really knows who gave it down anymore, like, and where it would go back to if we're like, we can't do this anymore, like, we can't sell the property, it would go back to the state. But I don't even know if it would go back to the Dam Bureau, or if it would go back to the parks, or if it would just go back to whatever. So, I mean, and I don't think a lot of people even have those answers, but landlocked property to gain access, first level is kind of at the selectmen, but the second level is through the court. And
I mean, it's always best to try to work and try
I
to
believe
find
the
a solution.
landlocked parcel that the selectmen can do is only for agricultural, like logging or something like that, like I wanna go log that land. I think-
Minerals.
I do feel like
Minerals, stuff like
insurance-
that.
We're really looking into insurance at this point, and that, I think it's been very clear, just, we should be protected as a town as well, but also the folks who were using their land should be protected.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And so I think insurance is,
It's the
maybe
biggest-
a
it's the biggest
possibility, right?
stumble.
And, Linda's given us an idea.
I know the rec revolving could be used since it is a rec, covered under the rec, the town beach is under the rec. That's also another.
I think that has to be used just for programming costs. And so
It
unless
can
they
use
would-
for recreation, and this
Use
is
for
a
recreation,
parks
this is-
and rec,
yeah.
this falls under them, I
So,
believe this covers.
Just throwing it out there that might be another possibility if there is a little more added fee, and I don't think insurance wise that you can,
We pay for a
you
lot
can
of things
charge
that
a
are not
fee
program-based, so
to
don't-
use the beach, cause then it cancels out the insurance, I think that's kinda how it goes, so. Yeah, I know you were talking about like charging $10-15 a person to use the beach, but I think that negates the insurance if you start charging people to use the beach, so.
Again, I don't know how the town of Milton does it, I just know when I went there to launch my boat, I had to pay $10, and I noticed a stack of fees, and I noticed that there was 2 people there. And why are there 2 people there? Cause they're getting a ton of fees, and the parking lot was full, and if I look at this fee list, and I'm like, every person
Checking
here has
milfoil.
paid a ton of, you could get a season pass for $60 or something like that, like it wasn't, whatever. But I was like, there are fees, and the fees are paying for these 2 people to be here, but again, it comes down to,
That's why I was thinking the
So many
state, like,
users
would the
and-
state know, like, if we charge fees, is that gonna affect our insurance? So that's why I was saying to get the state involved, cause
I'm tired of wrecking my mind trying to come up with solutions that everyone's
I mean,
happy.
we can ask, I don't, again, know who to talk to, and most of the time it's gonna get kicked to the courts to dictate, same with road placement, where it's gonna say, this is the thing, but they might also require stuff on us to have access, and that may cost, like, yes, you shall have this, this, and this. And when you do this, this, and this, it's gonna cost this much money, and we're gonna be like, well, that's a lot of money. Well, now it's a court order, and now we have to do it.
Maybe, maybe not. Don't know
Maybe
unless
not.
you ask. So
Hopeful.
We've
I'm
asked a lot of
hopeful
questions, and
insurance.
again, speed of government.
that's all I'm asking. Did you ask? That's all. That's all I can do. All I can do.
Sometimes asking the same question a different way gets a different answer, and
Just trying to brainstorm. That's all.
It's okay.
is there any additional public comment for tonight? Since we've spoken to pretty much everybody.
If round two.
And you said the only thing that we have for non-public is part B?
B or D?
B.
Bravo.
Boy, we're hiring a new employee, hopefully, with your blessing.
All right,
Motion to,
so can I get a motion?
I move that we move out of public into non-public meeting session. Oh geez, I don't know.
91A.
Thank you.
2B.
You should
Thank you.
read this little line right here.
Look at all my notes, I can't find it. Thank you. All right, I'm moving that we move out of public session into non-public per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, B,
Just B.
just B.
And I'll
Almost
second.
did it right.
We have a motion and a second, roll call vote.
I, Adam Ryan.
I, Charlotte Fife.
I'm Matt Sherlin.
Hi, John Moore.
Thank you very much, Nottingham.
This concludes our broadcasting.
Have a good week, 2 weeks. We'll see you again on the 20th.